Why do people love swearing and sex in one show and hate it in another? What's the difference?
Mic was even on. Okay, let me just switch my mic to. Let me switch my mic to the book air, so it's more better, it's more stable. Okay, so yeah, why do people like one thing? Because it's because how it's done. Like the thing about obviously I can't talk about Hazbin Hotel because I haven't seen Hazbin Hotel, but I can talk about a bit about panty and stalking because I've actually watched Panty and Stalking. I haven't finished the second season, but I did complete like the first season, so I first season and a half. So I think the issue is obviously the again I don't know how I obviously have a hotel, so I don't know the execution of it. But it's just about the way that you're doing it. Like if the whole joke is basically freaking the F word, it's not gonna be funny.
Difference between the humor in shows like Panty and Stalking versus shows like Has Been Hotel? And more importantly, how do you write a smart poop joke? In this video, I'm going to talk about how swears and sex can ruin good shows like Has Been Hotel, analyze the 3 parts of any good joke, and explain why these same fans love the adult humor in Panty and Stalking but hate it in Has Been Hotel.
I think the also issue is what it's trying to tell. Like, because Panty and Stalking, there is no overarching story to Panty and Stalking. It knows what it is. Okay, I think I'm skipping a bit of frames here. I think the thing is that for Panty and Stalking, there's nothing more to Panty and Stalking. Right? There's no overarching story to Panty and Stalking. So I think the overarching story you can argue is that hey, they're trying to go back into heaven, but I'm like they're not really trying to. They're not really trying anything. So I think the issue is also is that we have to think about the overarching story of these respective series. Penny and Stalking, there's no story. It's episodic. It's basically just episodic madness. There's nothing to expect from Penny and Stalking. But for Hatton Hotel, there is an overarching story. We know that obviously uh Charlie trying to get redeem demons to get up in heaven and all that stuff for demons to get to heaven and all that shit. So it's the problem is that it's there is a plot to Hajin Hotel, but doing all these swearing jokes and sex jokes and all that stuff kind of I don't know, it kind of just detracts from what it's trying to what the story is. I think that's the issue as well.
And some of those reasons can actually be explained with this post right here. Now, for context, Panty and Stalking is an anime about 2 angels that swear and have lots of sex, and Has Been Hotel is a show about demons that swear and have lots of sex. So the joke here is that the same fans love the sex and swearing in Panty and Stalking, but they hate the exact kind of humor in Has Been Hotel. It is a bit of an oversimplification, but as a fan of both shows, I can say it's a good depiction of a problem people have had with Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss for years. Namely that fans feel like the level of swearing and sex and poop jokes in the shows is just cringy. In fact, this discussion went viral last week when Panty and Stalking dropped a musical episode where the entire musical was a bunch of swears, and half of Twitter said the episode and Has Been Hotel. And while
Oh, yeah, yeah, it was like I think I think the issue was like there was something going on if the thing is that not stalking Pansy she couldn't say the no more F words properly. So in order to circumvent the I forgot what was about the episode, but it's been a while. It was basically she couldn't say the F words normally. She couldn't say the swear words normally. So she had so and she basically did a loophole and basically she sang the F words and all that shit. That's how she got over it. That's essentially what the episode was about.
different reasons for this level of vitriol, it's best explained by this comment to the Twitter post that says, "The difference is Panty and Stalking is ironic and isn't meant to be taken seriously, while Has Been Hotel."
That's what I've been saying. The issue is that Panty and Stalking is again we have to think about what it is as a story. Planning and Stalking does not have an overarching plot. Has Been Hotel does. So when you're comparing those two series, that's one is slowly just focused on comedy. There's nothing else to think about. But for Private Hotel, there's all these plot lines and all that, so that has to go somewhere. So when you're putting all these swear words and these sexy and not sexy but sex jokes and swear words in them, it's like it's kind of detracting from the series, because we know that Hazard Hotel has a more serious tone because there is an overarching story, there is an overarching plot, as in to Penny and Stalking there isn't. So you have to think about that.
wants to have serious topics within very juvenile humor. Basically, both of these are supposed to be adult animation, but Has Been Hotel does this by trying to be both mature and immature, while Panty and Stalking is completely immature and somehow feels smarter, which is something that fans of these shows are clearly feeling, but
No, it's basically expectations. It's expectations, because it's expectations given from what we gotten from the story. We know that from season one, obviously, from season one, Penny Stalking, it's not a fairly serious series. So we know that the joke, we all know that the tone is gonna be like, well, we don't really the tone is gonna be more lighthearted, because there is no overarching story to this Penny and Stalking. But for Haddon Hotel, as what he said, you kind of have to take it seriously, because there is an overarching story to this, right? There is an overarching plot to Haddon Hotel.
nobody's really saying what the underlying problem is. Part of it
So, and again, and that's the thing. When you have like overarching plot, the bar is higher for you than it's something like Penny and Stalking, which is very episodic. So the bar is lower. It's the standards, basically. The standards are different for these two series.
is the show's taking
So
them
since you're doing an overarching story of since you're doing an overarching story, you kind of have the expectation to basically insert a joke in a way that's properly done, instead of just putting it in there for the sake of it.
themselves seriously or not, but the larger issue is the degree to which the creators know their audiences. Studio Trigger makes no attempt to be mature, so fans are perfectly happy watching 30 minutes of
I don't know, cause Cyberpunk Edge Runners was pretty mature. I wouldn't say that. Kill la Kill. Okay, I've always seen Kill la Kill, and out of Studio Trigger, I've only seen Kill la Kill, Penny and Stalking, and Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Cyberpunk Edge Runners is pretty serious. I would not say that.
swear songs. On the other hand, there has been a growing disconnect between Vivzy Pop and fans of her shows, in
There's been a disconnect. There's been a disconnect between Busy Pop and the fans since like Hell of a Boss. It's been like that for years.
the claim is that it's because her shows are meant for adults, but use dialogue written for 13-year-olds. In other words, Has Been Hotel would actually feel more mature if it didn't have so much adult language.
Yes, it would, because because it's like it's a very it's the reason why it's very childish is because it's like, oh, the only way to make a show serious is by adding all these swear words and all that shit. It's like trying to do it's like trying to do adult animation. It's like, oh, how what's the difference between this a kid animation and adult animation? Well, adult animation has so many swear words and sex jokes, like some Paradise PD or some shit, bro. And that's the problem. You're basically kind of trying too hard to be mature, so trying to add all these jokes into it of this mature subject matter, was just not gonna work.
Although I guess adult isn't the best term for the dialogue since
I would just say it's more
so many people call it juvenile. That brings up an even bigger problem. If using adult jokes and humor isn't actually mature, then what makes a show adult in the first place?
well, it's basically treating its audience smartly. It's basically not treating the audience like again. It's all about the way that you deliver the jokes. Because if you can deliver like sex jokes and and swear words and shit like that, it's just hard. You have to do it properly. Like freaking Justice League Unlimited, they did sex jokes pretty well. They did it very subtly too. Even even like SpongeBob did sex jokes subtly too. With when SpongeBob when SpongeBob was trying to play like a pirate and try to get Gary to take a bath, and he was like, oh, and he had a bar of soap. Like, yeah, the balloons, don't drop them. It's like it's the subtlety. It's all about the subtlety of the joke. Instead of just outright saying, "Yep, it's the F word."
And this is
That's the
why it's
problem.
so important that creators know their audience. Because what makes a show adult is actually
I think people wouldn't have a problem with it if Hazard Hotel didn't have an overarching story, but it does. So the bar of trying to put in jokes into are higher to do.
the viewers. Obviously, the difference between a show for babies and a show for adults is usually advertised in age restrictions. But that's just it. There's a big difference between restrictions and appeal. Think of it like an amusement park. You can label certain rides as kiddie rides and adult rides, but that doesn't make the adult rides any more appealing to adults when rides are kind of meant for kids in the first place.
Well, it's kind of like manga. It's like hey, shonen the audience for shonen is for little boys, but it appeals to a lot of people. It's basically like put it in manga terms is basically like that. It's like, hey, shonen is for young teens, but it appeals to basically the majority of anime people.
Same is true for shows and movies. Just
Yeah.
because you give something an M rating or an R rating doesn't make it mature. There's a huge difference between target demographics and intended viewers. Making a story mature isn't about using swears and sex jokes. It's about writing the story and its characters in a way that appeals to viewers who enjoy more mature topics, regardless of how old they are. This is why people like anime so much. Shows like Naruto and Bleach are targeted at kids, but they handle the characters and plot in a way that is clearly more mature than something like SpongeBob. This is the
Well, obviously, because SpongeBob is meant for little. Again, that's not a good comparison because SpongeBob is meant for little kids. Shonen is meant for teens. That's two complete different audiences. That's not a good comparison. You should use like something like Steven Universe or some shit. Steven Universe or and Bleach, something like that. A better comparison, not SpongeBob. Not a good comparison because those are two different audiences. Those are for two complete different audiences.
problem with Has Been Hotel as well as Hell of a Boss. These shows appeal to older viewers because they involve discussions about sexual assault, individual identity, and moral integrity, but they talk about these things with dialogue that often feels like it was written by a 13-year-old boy who just discovered the internet. People find these same exact swears and the same exact jokes funny in Panty and Stalking because that is not a mature show. The fact that Studio Trigger adds transformation scenes just as an excuse to draw ridiculously detailed shots of the characters doing strip dance routines is a pretty obvious sign. It's art and creative. It's clearly not so to appeal looking for stories or if you want a story, it's still in a causes so.
And it's for people who don't really want to think much about this though. Because again, panty and stalking, there's not a lot to think about the panty and stalking. Let's be honest here. There's nothing to think about for panty and stalking. You don't have to think about a continuity or character progression or nothing because you all know it's episodic. You all know the whole thing's episodic. But for something like Hazin Hotel, which does have continuity and it is serialized and has these characters and all that stuff that you expect them to grow, it's just like adding these jokes, just like it's such and doing it that way that Busy Pop does, like it's so juvenile because you clearly can do better. You've done some episode good before, but you just can't do it now. It's again, it's all about the expectation and the bar, the setting and the
Adult
bar.
humor. But to that point, you could argue that Panty and Stalking's shameless use of adult humor doesn't make it any better. In fact, that's how a lot of people responded to the new musical episode, claiming that it was no better than Has Been Hotel's use of swearing and sex, which might seem true out of context, but people such as myself who have seen both shows can tell you there's a big difference. Panty and Stalking doesn't actually swear that much. In fact, I'd be willing to bet there's even less swearing in Panty and Stalking than there is in Has Been Hotel. Especially
Yeah. When I'm looking back at season 1 and season 2, there isn't not a lot of swearing into it. At least that's not the joke. That's not the main joke for it. I remember one episode was like Stalking and Penny basically trying to be like influencers and shit, and then like another episode was like Stalking want to lose weight and all that shit. It's again, that's not again, it's that's not like the main joke is just not swearing and sex. Obviously for Penny it's more, the sex thing is more true, but yeah.
Actually, in this second season, where Trigger has actually pretty much cleaned up the writing compared to the original season. And that's because the writers at Studio Trigger understand something a lot of people don't realize. They understand that swearing is basically like salt. Salt makes most food taste better, but that only works if you can still taste your food. If all you taste is salt, then you just ruined the food. It's the same with swearing and sex and any crude humor. You can improve writing with swears, but if you use more than you need, then all you can taste is the swear. And swears aren't inherently funny out of context. Now, to that point, you might say, well, okay, chef, then how much swearing do you really need? And the truth is, it's usually zero. A lot of times swearing is just crutch for others to be painfully funny. For example, I watched this 2009 movie about zombie called Beast. This movie is pure brain. I can barely show it to how new it is. The story is about a boss wants to hook a stripper and to save her when kidnapped by influence. I classic art style and awesome action. The story complete waste time and characters kindness gorilla with Tom Annie stripper Rosario. Yes, those of us. Besides that, spoil it humor, all its content of its fun and none is neat. You have a joke bird, which also used the appearance of place writing. And there's one about the Randall Harvey fake and one about going there's pretty zero here and actually no way that correct. And that's
Yeah, it isn't Harvey Birdman. Because I remember I used to watch Harvey Birdman a little bit here and there, and yeah, Harvey Birdman did not have a lot of swears in it.
from adult shows are known for swearing. Plus, there's plenty of other examples like this. South Park is notorious for adult humor, but its best episode, Make Love Not Warcraft, is weirdly one of its cleanest episodes. My all-time favorite show, Trailer Park Boys, made its brand with curse words, but it fell off in the later seasons when they made the whole point of every joke about outlandish swears. On the other end of this conversation, there's also shows like The Owl House that appeal to fans of Has-Been Hotel even though they're meant for kids, because they focus on mature themes without the use of swears, sex, or poo jokes, shows that you don't actually
You just need to treat your audience smart. Just treat your audience like they're smart people. That's all you gotta do. Because if you treat your audience like very smart people, then they should know that, yeah, just saying swear jokes, just saying swearing is not gonna make them laugh. You gotta have to put more effort into it.
More often than not, swearing just ruins what would otherwise be perfectly good writing. Okay, so if adult language doesn't make something funny, then what does? To answer that, all we need to understand are the three elements of every good joke. Usually people will tell you that every joke has two elements: the setup and then the punchline, the funny statement, and the way you prepare the audience for that funny statement. In the case of crude humor, the buildup is the difference between a joke that's actually kind of smart and a joke that's just brainless. This is why crude humor feels so stupid and shows Has-Been Hotel or more fakely. They just drop
I used to watch Big Mouth. Oh my goodness, man. I don't think I ever laughed in Big Mouth before. I think I think when I never laughed in any Big Mouth episode, because the jokes, I understand, yeah, it's kids going through puberty, but the jokes are so shallow. It's unbelievable.
poop jokes with no setup and expect them to be naturally funny. To be fair, I do like Has Been Hotel a lot more than Big Mouth. A lot of the crude humor is actually really
Who doesn't? I don't know anyone who actually likes Big Mouth unironically. I don't know anyone who likes Big Mouth. Big Mouth is I think I dropped it off like 2 or 3 seasons. Maybe I don't even know. I'm just like I got drained. I felt drained every time I finished an episode.
funny when there's proper setup. But the reason people say the show is cringe is because for every smart joke, there's even more times where a character swears just for the sake of swearing. The swearing is unnecessary, so it feels distracting and honestly annoying. That being said, for a show like Panty and Stalking, where the main appeal is the sex and swearing, obviously it's necessary to have those things. But it feels relatively smarter in this show because it is necessary and because there's proper setup. And that's the key to having adult humor that's smart. It's just a matter of good writing and creativity. One of the best examples of this are the classic cartoons artists. They're not adult, they do the same instead of graphics. The best part of funny cartoon isn't the violence, it's the writing that goes into the jokes. For example, in the famous Duck Amuck cartoon, you watch Daffy get maimed and humiliated for the entire show, and it all builds up to the reveal that Bugs was torturing him the whole time. And just away from the crashing out, Bugs say, "Ain't I?" A whole show years is watching a beauty build up. You can also see the most violent reasons. The violence is best because writers use the violent payoff, for example, in scene.
That's another one. It's like bending the fuck. It's like bending. The gun and it's like, oh, I got you now, Wabbit, and then fucking gets shot. It's fucking funny because I remember it happened. Elmer Fudd, he had the gun in like the hole, right? And then like I think what happened is Bug made another hole and then he bent the gun to help Elmer. It's the buildup. That's what makes it funny too. And obviously, yeah, the duck season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, and like, and then like and then like I think Bug's like, yeah, this is rabbit season. Okay, then that's not it's duck season. Then he's just like, what the almost like, what the fuck you guys doing? Again, it's so funny, man.
Set up when Elmer Fudd says his gun is all out of bullets, and it builds up when Daffy takes the gun and looks right down the barrel. Now, you might say that the punchline is that he gets shot, but that's not it. The punchline is that he found out there was a bullet after he got shot. The violence is just that little pinch of salt that makes the joke better, and that's all you need. Setup and punchlines. Okay, but you said 3 things, and I didn't forget about it, because the third thing a joke needs that everyone forgets is delivery. And delivery is just another way to say execution. The reason this is so important is because you can have the best joke in the world.
Yeah, but just be the second part of the joke that people recommend, because you have the setup and then you have the punchline. The punchline typically is how you do it, so the execution still falls in the punchline section, because section is about how you do the punchline as well. It's just,
but you still need to deliver it the right way or else it flops. The reason graphic violence is funnier in cartoons is because of the delivery. It's not quite as silly when it's not in a cartoon. When it comes to Panty and Stalking, the delivery carries a lot of the swears because it's in Japanese. So it's funny to hear swears in English, just like it's funny to hear Joseph swear in Stardust Crusaders. And even in the English dub, when you have Panty swearing like a sailor in English, it still works because she's an openly trashy character, so it just adds to her personality. In Has Been Hotel, the characters are trashy in the sense that they're all demons living in hell, but they're not all open sluts or drug addicts, so the delivery doesn't always work. In fact, think of the Paste made a good point a while back when he said under their own sandwich, which is to say is exactly right. Unlike Texas or a similar accent, most of America is just cringe. I hate to say to all you people in California, people who sound like that,
accents too. Okay, if someone it's also because the Southern people, they obviously have they swear creatively. So when they swear, it's like it's like what the fuck, you came up with that type of shit. So it's also, yeah, it's the accents too. I think the issue is that obviously we're so used to how Americans say swear words that if an American show just bucket dump swear words, then it's not gonna mean shit. But if you see into if you have like an accent into it, then it's like then like, oh shit, that's kind of jokes because like the way that this accent's kind of influencing the way that he says this swear word. I think that's because we're just used to seeing a lot of obviously we live in the West. I live in the West actually. So, I'm used to hearing a lot of American swear, so maybe that's why it's not very creative that way. But but I don't know. Maybe if I was British, I wouldn't be so. I wouldn't maybe if I was British, I wouldn't be like. I'll probably be cringing at British people swearing. I don't know. I don't know. It seems like more like a regional thing. It's like, yeah, since you were born in America, if you just hear Americans swear 24/7, it's gonna be bland or not really funny.
Earlier point about knowing your audience. Maybe if you live in California or you're 13 years old, then the swearing in Has-Been Hotel sounds fine. But for most of the world, it just sounds cringe.
The issue, no, I think the bigger issue is also its tonal whiplash because here's the thing. The issue with Vizzy Pop is like they want you to take shit seriously at some points. Then at certain points, yeah, I just fucking goof around. I think that's the issue. It's that Busy Pop flip flops on comedic timing, not comedic, yeah, well, comedic time, on like lighthearted moments and then actual serious moments. That's I think the bigger issue here. Is Busy Pop can't use tone properly because she tends to flip flop quite a bit from what I see in her shows.
And especially when you're a major animated show on Amazon Prime, you need to appeal to viewers who don't sound or talk like that. And that's the difference between smart humor and brain rot. Has-Been Hotel and similar shows remind us that sometimes less is more.
Yeah. Like, for example, in Total Drama, obviously nobody swears, right? But I remember when freaking Lindsay just outright freaking swears at her, it's funny because you would never swearing in Total Drama never happens. So when you're hearing from Lindsay out of all people telling that to Heather, it's like, oh shit. Like, god damn. Let's see here. How J. Cole fans been acting since the Fall Off came out. Oh yeah, J. Cole's new album came out. I haven't listened to it, yo. I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing for me, but
What you think?
Bro, can you back up?
he's already crying, bro.
What you? Man, you not even crying, bitch. You didn't even listen to the album, bro.
Yes, I did.
No, you did, because I was over there talking that shit. It's only been an hour, bro. What'd you skip?
I didn't skip anything, bro.
Man, yes, you did, bro. If you're not crying after this album, I promise, bro, you skipped some shit, bro.
I don't have to cry to like an album, bro. What are you talking about?
That's true.
All right, tell me what you think about the album, then. Go. I'm not even gonna cut you off.
Okay.
Punk bitch.
What? Okay, I thought it was alright.
I don't care what you think, punk bitch. You don't know
Why
what I'm
are
talking.
you saying that to me?
This nigga did. I know you didn't listen to the fucking album. That's a fourth song. Yo, bro, you skipping all the songs. You skipping all the songs. Right, you skipping them, ain't you?
No, I'm not. I thought we was having a conversation.
Them bitches 4-5 minutes. You ain't never heard no song in 4-5 minutes, right? The TikTok got your ass, nigga. Start wrestling with your ass. I knew it, bro. Rap with your motherfucking ass. Who the fuck is you?
Oh my god, he's crying, bro.
Bro, why are you not bobbing your head, bro? It's banging.
Bro, I don't have to bob my head to listen to this song.
What is passing the car test, though? You say if it passed the car test, that should have hit.
Oh my, listen, sonically, I just don't like the way it sounds, bro.
Sonically.
Yeah.
Fuck sonically.
What sonically mean?
Listen, I'm not gonna explain.
Niggas stay making up new words to hate on somebody, bro. Sonically, nigga, you ain't never used sonically a day in your fucking life. Man, I see you
This is my first time ever hearing saying sonically. Fucking what? Don't use, why are you using sonically? Just say sound wise. They're saying sonically. What the fuck?
to fall off. I wouldn't want to be on with you niggas either, bro.
Stop acting like I hate J. Cole when I went and got you from Germany. Oh, what the? Hey, bro.
Wait, what?
Hey. Got you from.
Oh, sonically meaning in a manner that relates to sound, audio, or speed of sound. Just say sound wise. It's not good. Who the fuck says sonically?
From Germany.
Germany 2 weeks ago when J. Cole got nothing his single dropped.
Oh, what the? Hey, bro. Hey, what's up?
Guten Tag.
Man, stop playing. I know that's you, bro. Hey, J. Cole just dropped.
The Berlin. Alright, nigga. Damn, you caught me, nigga. I'm at the damn Berlin Wall. History lesson. This is not America. This is Germany, nigga. What are you doing here?
Well, J. Cole just dropped.
I don't listen to rap no more, bro. I don't do that. That shit dead, bro. Nobody listen to that shit no more.
Why?
Cause every time you try to talk to somebody about rap, they talking about Kendrick or Drake. Choose a side. And then I'll be like, there's a lot of rappers in it. Oh, you chose Kendrick, bitch. Stand on it. I didn't even say nothing yet. And then they talking about Drake, Michael Jackson, Kendrick, Prince, Kendrick, Michael Jackson, Drake, Prince. So I said, who's Cole then? A nigga gonna tell me Ruben stuttered. Cause he be apologizing and shit. You know, I'm sorry, 2004. I ain't even laugh, bro. I just grabbed my passport. I got up out of there, bro. Man, I should have stayed, bro. Came back to America. Y'all niggas still in the same shit. Go ahead and put on the album that we can go to the gas station and the album be finished before we get there. I know you niggas love 10-minute albums.
All right, bro. I'm gonna go inside.
39 intro. Poor thing. Safety.
Bro, what are you saying?
Run the train. Hits. Nigga, on the album, I'm saying hits.
Bro, maybe I should just listen to the album again or something, bro.
Oh, yeah, let's do it. What color you want? Pink or blue?
What?
I'll take blue. Here, you get pink. You want to press share audio?
No, bro. Not right now. Not right now.
What? Oh, I'm done trying to convince you, bro. If you don't want to listen to a nigga's magnum opus, nigga, then I ain't gonna force you no more. It's over, dog. I'm done. Look, I can tell you, your dumb ass look, you don't know what a magnum opus is, and you would have if you listened.
All right, bro.
Nah, it's over. It's up. You stupid for life. Hey, you can go, nigga, because, hold on. What if the bullshit never smart, nigga? Man, he got one info on, man. You a real one, but you always been one too, man. Hey, one last time, man. Jermaine. Cole. Thank you, bro, for being here, bro.
Yeah.
The real is back, the bill is back. Flo Bananas here. Shut your stupid ass up. I'm dead ass. Don't say that shit again, bro. I'm dead ass. Don't say that.
I'm a Cole fan.
Nah, no, you're not. No, you're not.
All right.
Don't say you Cole fan, fake ass Cole fan, nigga.
All right, bro.
And they ask, and I tell them, thank you, Cole, for everything, man. Love yours.
Alright, yeah. You know, that's for every fan base, though. Every fan base be like fucking crying like that shit, bro. I know, obviously, J. Cole fans, they tend to go a little bit too high, but. Oh yeah, so I want to watch this video from Chibi Reviews. It's basically anime political and shit like that. Chain Soldier, don't really care. I'll watch that on my own time. Yeah, you're racist if you phase connect, that's what it's called.
So imagine you make a statement saying you don't want politics within your anime, manga, or games. That's what Jelly did right here. And basically, after saying this statement, the company that she works for straight up called her a racist and a bigot and bred hatred because she doesn't want politics in Minecraft.
Oh yeah, in case you didn't know, context here, there was a DLC, not a free DLC or a free update in Minecraft where Minecraft, since it's Black History Month, they'll put in like Rosa Parks and all them shits in Minecraft. So, and obviously people will be like, "What the fuck?" Because it's like this is Minecraft. You ever done it in how long? You do it now? Like, come on, bro.
We got a lot to cover today. I haven't seen a company implode this much in a very long time. This is a guide to how to run your company into the
I don't know. Have you ever heard of Nichi Sanji? Them niggas, they imploded hard to the point where they filed for bankruptcy. I'm pretty sure.
ground
They
in
imploded
24
hard.
hours 101, because this drama, which should have been a nothing burger, has escalated to such a point that now it's reaching massive content creators like Asmongold. He dropped a literal nuke yesterday evening, and there's just no going back for this company. This company, I'm going to be honest with you, might as well be dead at this point. It's basically spiraling down the drain, because any goodwill that this company has is now basically non-existent on both sides of the conversation, because of what they did back-to-back yesterday and very early this morning. Now, I know a lot of you might be confused if you don't follow Asmongold or follow VTubers in general, and so let me kind of get you up to speed on why I'm even talking about this in the first place. I've talked about some VTuber drama in the past and how companies handle certain VTubers, like Niji Sanji is a very good example. I talked about that last year, and this one is kind of somewhat of a similar case, but it is definitely... it's crazy. Like, this entire conversation piece has really escalated to where I can't escape it. I'm seeing everybody talk about it. I'm seeing my entire feed on YouTube talking about it. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to weigh in and do my personal takeaway on this entire situation. So first off, where did this begin? Well, this all began with a silly little tweet from a VTuber called Jelly, saying, "Screw it, man. I think pushing politics in my children's sandbox game is disgusting, especially when it's disguised as education. Let me play my stupid block game without having to engage or associate with any of your stupid political garbage that I literally do not care about." This post was made on February 3rd, 2026, as you can see. And this post was, quote, retweeting this post from the official Minecraft account on X. This is the official Minecraft account talking about adding in politics to Minecraft with a DLC.
Yep.
And this is obviously an optional DLC. You don't have to buy it and support it. But the point is people had a problem with this. People did not...
Again, it's a typical argument of it's a typical argument of, it's like, I remember what's the argument called again? I forgot what it was called, but like, you know how in video games they're trying to add like a bunch of woke shit, and they'd be like, "Oh, but you guys don't have to. You guys, it's so minor. So why you guys care?" I'm just like, okay, but why you care enough to add it in? That's kind of what this is. It's like, why make the DLC at all?
like that Minecraft is adding in real world politics and stuff into the game, a silly block game about creating and building. People did not like this whatsoever, and they thought, like, keep politics out of my games. And so what Jelly had to say, I'm just gonna be honest, I'm on Jelly's side here. I don't think politics have any place within Minecraft, and I think that it's kind of weird adding it into a game that's mostly meant for children. I'm just gonna be completely blunt.
That's true.
So personally,
because I'm gonna be honest, kids don't even know what the fuck. Kids don't even know who the fuck that is. They'll be like, "Who the fuck is this? The fuck? What am I doing here? Who are all these block people?"
I think what Jelly had to say here was a very fair take. I'm on their side. You might say that's a little bit of bias, but regardless of the point, I'm on Jelly's side with what they had to say. However, people got extremely upset with this take from Jelly, to the point to where it got so bad that the actual company that Jelly works for, FaZe Connect, which I mentioned at the beginning of the video, forced Jelly to delete these said tweets. And this is what the company had to say in response to this situation. "Thank you for supporting FaZe Connect. Recent comments made on Twitter by one of our talents included discussions on sensitive topics. Following an internal review, these comments were taken down. We sincerely apologize for any issues caused by this incident. FaZe Connect's focus has been and always will be providing entertainment through different personalities and a wide range of unique content. We do not tolerate racism, hatred, or bigotry in our communities. Thank you for understanding and your continued support of FaZe Connect and our talents, FaZe Connect team." This was made in response after what Jelly said. So more or less, they called one of their talents bigoted and racist, and have hatred in their heart for not wanting politics within their silly block game. That is an insane statement from FaZe Connect. Obviously, people were pissed because they made Jelly delete the tweets, and then they issued this statement out. And people's reactions were pretty angry. And you even have Rev here, he makes a comment on this saying, this statement is a colossal L that not only cames to obnoxious virtue signalers who could care less about your talents, but also creates a standard that will be used against FaZe and your talents forever. Horrible decision, which is very true. Once you open the floodgates
because now guess what? Now obviously, since you did it once, now we all know that FaZe can do this now. It shows you the bias within FaZe Connect. It shows the political bias of the company and not even the company, because now obviously the internet doesn't. Once you put it on the internet, it's gonna be there. It's gonna be there forever. So.
Of cancel culture and allow people to dictate what your talents can say or not say, then it opens up a can of worms to where everyone going forward in the past and future of what they say will be used against them. And I would like to reinstate, up to this very point, before this happened, FaZe more or less was a very neutral company. They were held as the based VTuber company to work for, one of the last bastions for freedom within a VTuber community for an official company. But when they made this statement and they forced Jelly to take these posts down, it more or less opened up the door now where other people are going to be canceled afterwards, and they decided to side with certain politics for their company instead of remaining neutral as they always have. And thanks to this, it exploded in the drama space. People started talking about this. Content creators that are not even in the VTuber space started talking about the situation. Asmongold eventually found out. He started talking about the situation, which then led to him commenting on a content creator that said some pretty heinous stuff 6 months ago about a certain Charlie Kirk. And he pointed this out live on his stream. You can check it out. He probably has it finally posted on his YouTube channel. But he talked about the situation, exposing the hypocrisy of FaZe Connect allowing someone to advocate for political assassination, but in turn wanting someone to remove their tweets over not wanting politics and a silly block game, aka Minecraft. And so Asmongold called this out, and within like 6 to 7 hours, we had this official statement by FaZe Connect, basically removing the content creator, the VTuber, that was asking or cheering on political assassination, which it goes by Clara. Now, I want to be honest with you, I don't know too much about Clara. I have not watched them or anything and all that. I'm going to be honest. I know about them only through what Asmongold showed and the actual proof and receipts of what they've said, but I've never personally watched them. However, the point of the matter is that it got called out, they were hypocrites, and then in turn, what Rev said here came to pass. That now, from now on, the company will have a lot of cancel culture, and they are now going with politics and stuff with the way they're doing it. So the entire situation has escalated to where the person that was advocating for political assassination got more or less removed from the company. They graduated. Now, the content creator in question did say that they were already in talks with them for a few months and that this was finally finalized earlier this week, which I'm just going to call it out like it is. I smell bullshit. I'm going to be honest with you. It is weird to me that of all days this graduation happens, which happens, by the way, I want to showcase this. This post happened at late at night at 11:37 p.m., literally at the dead of night where people are normally sleeping. They posted this post here. And they announced that the person that was now getting called out and escalated to the point where Asmongold called them out, suddenly they're graduating. Now, is there a possibility that they were always graduating? Maybe. But it was definitely sped up. The process was sped up to such a degree to where they're now gone.
Yeah.
And so, more or less, you have both sides now. People that they were trying to cater to, FaZe Connect trying to cater to when they removed Jelly's post, are now upset with what they did with Clara. So now you have both sides of the conversation extremely upset with how this company handled.
Yeah, because now they're just being biased now, because now it's like, oh no, crap, we had to do Jelly, then no, okay, I guess since what she did was worse than Jelly, then we're gonna graduate her. I think, again, it's basically trying to appease everybody. And when you're trying to please everybody, you please nobody. All this would never happen if you just stay neutral and just kept your mouth shut. But instead, you have to put in the whole fucking letter thing, which then made this whole stack of dominoes.
Everything, and I'm just like, dude, just should have kept your mouth shut and remained neutral.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just going to keep it real. I'm going to rip off the Band-Aid here. I think Clara should be removed from the talent agency. I don't think you should be advocating for political assassination and cheering for it. That's not free speech. Keeping it real here. I know that's going to piss a lot of people off, and it gets you pissed off. I think advocating for murder is not a good thing, okay? I'm just going to say it. So, yeah. I think, makes sense this happened. But the reason why this happened is because they decided to pick a side. So FaZe Connect, I think you're done as a company. Count your days, because now the audience you tried to cater to is now against you after these decisions, and so nobody likes you. It's just, it's karma, honestly, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I wouldn't want to work for a company that wouldn't allow me to even just call out not wanting politics in a game. The fact that that was enough to make them basically call you a bigot and racist is actually insane. Like, legitimately insane. I would not want to work for a company that did that to me. Like, threw me under the bus to that degree. But I'll leave it at that. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. It does help me out a lot, and I would greatly appreciate it. Be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.
He censored Lolly and now linked to Epstein files? Who are you talking about?
Reality is often more unbelievable than fiction itself, because the man that led the charge for the censorship of the internet, led the charge for digital ID on social media sites around the world, and forced many other companies to comply, and also got the ball moving for other different countries around the world to also do the exact same thing that the UK was doing. That man that did all of this in the name of protect kids is now being linked to the Jeffrey Epstein files. I'm not really surprised. I mean, I commented on this last summer that usually the people that scream out for censorship of fictional content usually are the individuals that have something to hide and have skeletons in their closet, and that's exactly what is being proven true right here and now. So I'm gonna let Asmongold here really just set the stage before we really get into
I never really thought about that. I just think it's for power. I think it's usually the people who say it's for the children. It's not actually for the children. It's actually for power. I remember that happened within the. I remember it happened on the news. She was like, it's the news reporter or a journalist who was interviewing one of the governors, and it was like, oh, protecting the kids thing is that actual power? He's like, yeah, it's for power. Like, oh, yeah, you just proved me right. But hey, if they actually did something like that, then
full-blown discussion on what this means for the future.
Going on.
Oh, okay. Well, so yeah, this is crazy.
To tell us, did the official...
That is Starmer, by the way. This is the guy that led the charge. Just for clarification, this is the Prime Minister of UK that was the one that was censoring the internet, enforcing digital ID. Just...
Oh yeah, also he was the one that was bitching that Trump didn't freaking tell him about the he was bitching and whining that Trump didn't tell him about the capture of Maduro. And just like, why would Trump tell you, bro? You're a wuss. People don't like you, bro. Why would Trump tell you? You don't like you.
For everybody's on the same page.
Security vetting he received mentioned Mandelson's ongoing relationship with the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein.
So clear.
Prime Minister?
Yes, it did. As a result.
So let me get this straight. This man just straight up admits that he appointed someone in a position of power as the ambassador to talk with the United States, and he willingly and knowingly knew that the individual he appointed didn't just already have 2 violations that got him removed that was not good, but he appointed an individual that also was willingly in contact even after the conviction that Epstein got. This man right here is straight up compromised. And I think that this right here, the reaction that the entire room has here is just, honestly, is the exact reaction I think anyone would have. Just listen to this again.
Yes, it did. As a result,
Well, listen to him like getting like startled.
Idiot.
He literally is startled.
Ooh, idiot.
Like the man literally, listen to this man's voice. You could see that he realized he screwed up just saying this, but he was so scared he's shaking. Like just listen to his voice again.
Idiot.
as a result,
Idiot.
Man's stuttering.
Idiot. Ooh, idiot. That's it. Can we get a TLDR? Yeah. So basically, Keir Starmer, who's like one of the main guys in the UK, basically put a guy that was in charge. So this guy had already been removed twice for, ethical violations from other previous positions. And he decided to put this guy as the ambassador to the United States. And it turned out this guy was a recurring character in in the Epstein files. That was about.
So that's more or less the gist of the situation. But what's very
I mean, when we really think about it, it kind of makes sense because Jeffrey Epstein was a Democrat. He was a lefty for sure. So it makes sense that a lot of leftists like Bill Clinton and all that shit were associated with Jeffrey Epstein, because Jeffrey Epstein was a really he was a lefty, big lefty.
fascinating about this entire thing going on in the UK government right now is you can see that the man is visibly scared. Like here, I want to showcase this, see if I can actually show this. I want you to watch his hands very closely here. You can see he is a nervous wreck about even talking about this subject. Watch his hands.
just to be
It's
clear,
shaking.
to vote to release something.
He has to grab his hands.
Look at his hand.
The man, even Asmund's pointing.
Yeah, he's fidgeting. Because he knows what he's doing. He knows he got fucking caught. He knew about it, and he still did it. That's why he's fidgeting.
Security.
Look at his hands.
It's wrong in principle.
Even Asmund points out, this man is so nervous, he is shitting himself. He's shaking. He's like grabbing his hands, shaking, because he realizes everything is coming undone. He realizes that it is being unveiled. The curtain has opened, and the connections that he has with some very bad actors that are, as Asmongold himself said, a reoccurring character within the Jeffrey Epstein files, is pretty damning evidence. What makes this entire situation very damning for Starmer here is that, like I've already said at the beginning of the video, this is the man that led the charge for censorship of the internet, to basically force digital ID, to have multiple different sites and stuff censor itself, force censorship on social media like Twitter and Facebook, Instagram, Discord as well. Everybody saw how the censorship was, and this is also in part we saw what payment processors were doing as well. But one of the big driving forces of this was definitely the UK government, and Starmer was the front and center head of the wheel causing all of this. And it was very clear that it was anything but protecting kids, because within days after this happened, which I covered in other videos, this man straight up initiated a police task force to monitor people and throw people in jail for memes that offend people. For instance, if you put a meme out there on social media that might be slightly offensive, you would potentially have cops show up at your door and arrest you. There was a grandma within UK that had cancer and had cops come to her door and straight up threaten her with arrest because of a meme she posted on Facebook. I showed that video clip like months ago, but the point here is that they are using police resources to censor people, stop people from having the wrong think. You need a license for certain things, that type of meme, being a nanny state overall. This post right here from Starmer has aged so considerably. Like, read what he said back in September of 2025, the height of when everybody was talking about this censorship. I won't shy away from decisions to protect kids, even if there are predictable cries of nanny state. We're stopping shops from selling high caffeine energy drinks to under 16s so they could turn up to school ready to learn. So this happens after a bunch of allegations with, like, the gangs that are harming people within the UK, you know, and the UK is actively just ignoring, so to speak. And then there's news articles and even protests about situations like this that are being completely ignored in the UK. And if you even talk about this, you were labeled a terrorist. They literally outlined that if you were even talking about immigration, illegal immigrants, and stuff like that, you could be labeled a terrorist. So the entire situation has obviously been about control and censorship for a while, not about just, protecting kids. And it was just used to negate and try to use optics for it to shut down any conversation around this topic. And I've already mentioned this many times. When you have to use the slogan of protect kids or think of the children to get stuff passed, it instantly shuts down any rebuttal to it usually, because it's like the normal circumstance here in a normal conversation.
Yeah, because obviously in a normal, unless it's basic guilt tripping. Because it's basically, think of the kids, and if you're actually trying to counter argue that argument, then you're a bad person. It's basically a shutdown for conversation. That's basically what people use that for. It's essentially to guilt trip him and to kill conversation.
If you were to challenge someone from wanting to protect kids, people look at you like, why wouldn't you want to protect kids? They would look at you like a weirdo. They would look at like there's something off with you. But the problem here is that these laws, these rules, and different things are loaded to use to emotionally manipulate you to pass certain things that will strip away your rights. And that's exactly what was happening in the UK, and also what is technically still taking place around the world and multiple different governments with like the Kids Online Safety Act and stuff like COSA and all that. This type of stuff is still happening. And once again, I want to remind everybody, it's this individual that really pulled the trigger to initiate this to reach a nuclear level where everybody became more aware of it, and also he was the driving force of it. So yeah, I think that it's ironic that the man that legit was all about protect kids and stripping away people's rights to protect kids is somehow now linked to the Jeffrey Epstein case. Now, is he someone that maybe have done something illegal behind the scenes? Right now, I don't think we know that. The point of the matter is he willingly and knowingly appointed someone in a position of power that already had unethical violations twice. Then on top of that, he appointed this man that had a relationship with Epstein and was even in his house. By the way, Asmongold even shows this actually. I'll even show proof here. He has a picture he pops up here, like right here. This is the guy that Starmer appointed, okay, as the ambassador for the U.S. And this man was literally in Epstein's house. You could see him in his undergarments. This man, Starmer, appointed this guy that had a deep relationship with Epstein. He was aware of it, and he ignored it. And then he thinks he has the audacity.
I don't think he ignored it. I just think, because he ignored it. He knew, and then he I don't think he ignored it. He kind of just he just turned a blind eye. It's like, yeah, I know you associate with him, but I mean, innocent till proven guilty, am I right? It's like, hey, innocent till proven guilty, so what, you want this seat?
Just say protect kids. Think of the children. Crazy. Absolutely insane stuff. So the moral of the story here is that there is completely a lot of anger right now in the UK government. I noticed that a lot of people are starting to talk about, and I feel like this might blow a hole in everything that's been going on in the last year.
Oh my goodness, this one problems in the UK. You got the Just Stop Oil, the illegal immigrants in there, and you still have you had the whole censorship. Essentially, it is censorship, so you have to be careful what you say and shit like that. Yeah, UK is shit right now. It is the shithole
with the whole censorship of the internet, because it's very clear the optics and tactics that's being used now, and the whole thing that Starmer's been doing is to censor people, to stop people from talking about stuff. Because if he would have gotten all these laws and rules and regulations in place, then we would not even theoretically be having this conversation. We would not have been able to talk about this, because the internet would have been completely censored to the point to where you would instantly be silenced even speaking out. It's honestly crazy just in the last week, though, looking at, the Epstein files as a whole, how much conspiracy theories, or conspiracy theorists, have been vindicated. With, Pizzagate, to the stuff with 4chan, to the stuff with, there's a lot. The whole Yuri stuff. I mean...
Or don't forget the censorship of Google and shit like that. And Facebook, because it was confirmed by Google that the Biden administration came up and then told them to censor shit. Same thing for Facebook too. Even Mark Zuckerberg the Biden administration basically threatened us to start censoring people. So yeah, turns out like all those theories are correct.
Man literally looked at Five Nights at Freddy stuff. Like, it's just crazy. Like, the man had his hand in, like, microtransactions. It's insane the crazy connections the man had in everything on the internet that is still affecting us to this very day. Like, everyone on this planet, to some shape or form, has been affected by Epstein, which is insane. That's just how ingrained he was in society as, like, this serpent slash snake. But I'll leave it at that.
All
I just
insane
wanted to make a
society,
brief
he was ingrained within powerful people, because he was basically the bridge to like anything they wanted. He was like, oh, you wanna diddle some kids? I got you, bro. I got this island just for like. He was the supplier, bro. He was the supplier.
If you're on Core Power TikTok like me, I'm sure you saw everything that was happening in Minneapolis at that studio. And I walk into my studio in New York today and I see this, which was a join us for free and donation-based classes in solidarity with Minneapolis. Proceeds will benefit Immigration Law Center of Minnesota. All that to say thank you to the instructors in Minneapolis who were standing up and speaking out on what they believed in, because even though there was some pushback I'm sure they got, their voices were actually heard, and now we can all donate. So really appreciate them. Shout out to you guys.
This is completely a PR move on their part, because behind the scenes, the students who stood in solidarity with their instructors and let their voices be heard to the corporate employees who showed up at that studio, they have since been banned. They don't get their money back, but they have been banned from the studio for 90 days. Here is the letter that many of the students received. So Core Power's corporate efforts to raise money in solidarity with immigration support is just completely lip service at this point. Like, if you weren't standing with your actual...
That's how corporations are. They'll do anything to fucking, especially during the fucking couple years ago, they'll do anything to appease certain groups of people to get as much money from them as possible. That's how corporations are. That's how greedy corporations be, bro. They just follow the wave. That's what they do. They adapt and follow the wave. They see that a couple years ago they saw that fucking liberals and all that shit were popular. Then they decided to do all this plus size models and all that shit. And then now, since that's not as popular anymore, now they're going back to actual good looking girls and all that stuff. Because again, they don't care about you guys. And I hope you guys get that. Companies don't care. They just want your bottom dollar. That's all they care about, is their bottom dollar. They don't care. They don't actually care about all these months and all that shit. They do that because they want more money out of you. Simple as that. And the fact that people don't understand that, it's really showing you how stupid people can be sometimes.
Studio in Minneapolis, you were never standing. This is just PR.
Yep.
And behind
Boy. So we got to follow up on the viral story that we cover out in Minneapolis, Minnesota, involving the Core Power Yoga studio that was invaded by angry liberal white women who were upset with the fact that the studio took down an ICE out sign that was put up by one of their woke instructors because of the fact that it did not align with company policy. Okay, the company did not want to explicitly get involved in the politics going on out in Minneapolis, Minnesota, all of the protests against ICE. They say, you got to take down the ICE out sign, and that caused one of their instructors to quit. And after the instructor quit, these liberal white women, the mob of liberal white women, decided to harass employees who were just doing their jobs, right, in anger over the employee rage quitting because they could not bring their politics to work. I'm going to play a quick clip of that confrontation just in case any of you guys haven't seen it. Take a look.
Let's go. Give us answers. Let's go. Say them out loud for the camera for all my viewers. Let's hear it. Why are you being silent? Let's hear it, Delaney, loud and proud, baby. You want to say it? Let's fucking say it. Why?
Don't forget, this is gonna zoom out, but like the girl right here at the counter, she is surrounded by a bunch of liberal people from here all the way to where the camera is right now. She is surrounded by them. So this is basically just intimidation, which is again not good.
Yeah. Okay, let's go. It's an almond and a well. You should have well-rehearsed corporate action and words ready to go. Our community. I sent out $10,000 for people for rent yesterday that people gave out to my Venmo that I'm gonna pay taxes on.
Wait, what?
Delaney, let's hear.
Who you say?
Go. Our community. I sent out $10,000 for people for rent yesterday that people gave.
Why? I don't know how these people have this money just throw around like that, bro. I can never understand people like that. Oh, I gave away $10,000 for rent. I'm like, wait, whoa, what the fuck? I can never understand, bro, how people just throw away money like that so effortlessly.
To my Venmo that I'm gonna pay taxes on. Delaney, let's hear a goddamn answer.
That was just gibberish what she just said.
The silence is deafening.
Oh no, I hear some dudes in the back. So this dude's here. Get the fuck out of here, nigga. Dude wants to smash so hard, bro. Get out of here. You're not smashing any of these chicks here. Literally hear a dude say, literally hear the dude right there. He wants to smash, bro. That's why he's there. He's not there for you guys. He's there. He wants to get in between the pants.
Don't take a pause. Come on, you came here to silence teachers to make sure everything was good. I've never seen your fucking face in 10 years of practicing and paying my money at the studio. Don't take a pause. Be loud with core power. Corporate's answered. Let's fucking go. What do you gotta say?
Okay, I was just sharing.
Louder, Delaney. For us in the back. Let's go. What is it? Why? Why are you having one of our best teachers quit? Because you can't stand behind her. Answer that.
Okay.
Person with the glasses, you have a good answer? Delaney can't seem to cough it out.
Well, I mean, we're being berated right now, and so we're.
You're not being berated. You're being asked hard questions that you should have been answered. This is not berating.
Okay.
Trust me. Berating is what our neighbors are living through. You gonna put the ice up sign back on the front door? Yeah, and we want you to take us to
the big stuff here, please.
Look at this. Look at this. Look all, and you see, there's this one dude there. This one bald. He wants to smash. That's why he's there. He's not there. He's not there for you guys. He wants to smash. That's what he's there for. He's not there for you. He's not there because he cares about you guys' feelings. He wants to there because he wants to smash.
If you guys are feeling
You're not that slick,
the biggest
buddy.
ask here is that Core Power is a major corporation. They're all over.
All these liberal women and this token white guy. He wants to smash. That's what he's there for. He's not there for you guys. He doesn't care about core power, whatever bullshit there is. He's like he wants to smash. Or he's gay. He's gay. He wants to smash. That's what he is.
The fact that they are staying silent about what is happening in Minneapolis, the fact that you guys are staying silent, that is complicit. That is not okay. People are being murdered and abducted and attacked here, and it is heinous. I am a nurse. It kills me to see people getting hurt in our community. This is our community, and this like that's what it is. It's silent. We can take our community elsewhere. So if it's gonna hit it in the wallet, is that the only way that you guys are gonna see it? Then so be it. We can get a yoga studio someplace else.
Yeah, so that was a nightmare. I'm pretty sure it was not pleasant to deal with, right?
No.
One of the scariest things in this country right now is the angry liberal white woman, okay? I'm just keeping it 100 with you. She's out of control. This is why we should strongly consider deporting them, right? I'm just keeping it 100. Let's keep the thick Latinas, the thick Colombians.
Oh, you know what? This is what happens when you trying to appease the leftists. Once you switch up, once you decide to change your mind, oh no, you can't change your mind. It's like once you stick to this, you're this forever. You can't go back, or else you are a bad person. That's basically what this is.
Venezuelans.
They should have fucking done the ice out thing in the first place. They wouldn't be dealing with that shit. Simple as that.
and the THICC ones, right? Let's keep them and get rid of these women, right? All those women that showed up at that yoga studio, yeah, let's get rid of them, right? They gotta go, right? I think that's a fair exchange. To be honest with you, I think this country would be in a much better place. So, anyways, the woman behind the camera, okay, that you didn't see, she's now lashing out because she got permanently banned from Core Power due to this little stunt. So, without further ado, let's listen to this woman rage about being permanently banned from this yoga studio for her little stunt.
Hi, my name's Heather. I'm the person who made the video and was doing a large amount of the talking here at Core Power Yoga Northeast on Sunday morning. So a lot of people have been asking me for the background, and I don't have time to type it all out, so I thought I would just make a video and explain it to the best of my memory. One night last week, a couple of friends let me know that Core Power Yoga had been silencing some of the instructors who wanted to talk about ICE and the current violence that is happening here in Minneapolis against our community.
Yeah,
and
because obviously this is a spot to exercise. This is a spot to stretch and practice yoga and do yoga poses, not for political things. If you want to do it, if you want to talk politically, maybe you can do it after the session or out of the establishment. Or in private. Besides that, no, let's focus on just getting our stretches done here in yoga, and that's it. I don't see the problem with that.
Also, that corporate had asked the manager of the Northeast studio to take down a Keep Out ICE sign. So I just went to class. On Sunday morning, I went to class, and this person, Delaney, was there to meet me at the front door, opened the front door for me, and said that she was there to hear any concerns that we had as a community. And I told her then, calmly, kindly, that what our concern was, and that I wanted her to back up and
you gotta emphasize that. You gotta emphasize calmly, and I don't think so. She emphasizes that because she wants to seem as the victim.
That's and that I wanted Core Power to understand that in Minneapolis we were really going through it, and we would like our yoga studio to support us in this moment. She completely ignored me. She didn't offer even one thing, not a like we will circle back.
Why are you trying to think a corporation will want to be on your side? Do you not know what the main focus of a corporation is to make fucking money? That's the point. The point is they want to make money. And do you think the more popular opinion right now is to be on the side of ICE? Like, you think a corporation will ever back you up, man? They don't care about you. Corporations don't care about you. Plain as simple. Plain like that, bro. They don't care. All they want was in your fucking wallet or bank card or credit card. That's what they want. They don't care about your fucking political statements or your personal life.
Not anything. Just said, have a great class. So then we have a class, and during that class, our instructor tells us this will be our last class at Core Power Yoga. Now, you should know the flowers that are on the counter right there, those are for me. I had made those for my favorite instructor and brought them there that morning because I knew that she'd been having a rough week with all of this situation. I just wanted to encourage her. I also, every single class that I take at Core Power for years, have taken the time to clean up the weights and to clean up things that anybody leaves messy, because I know that the set people don't make a lot of money, and I always want to be able to support people who have to clean up. One of the people in the class said to me, you know what, we shouldn't put our weights away today. We should let corporate cleaning it up since they're here to see how everything is. And that's exactly what we did. So rather than putting all the weights back and organizing like I normally would, we just left them on the floor.
Amazing. This is like dealing with children, man. She sounds like a child, right? She sounds like a child. Now, again, I don't do core power, yoga, whatever, but I do take boxing classes. And, it's just common courtesy to clean up your stuff, right? Clean up your shit, right?
Yeah. Even when you exercise, even when you go to the gym, it's common courtesy to clean the equipment that you used. Like, cause you be out here sweating and all that shit, and you don't want that sweat to ruin other people's day. Cause cause other people use that stuff too. So it's just common courtesy to, hey, when you're done using this equipment, clean up the handles and all that shit and the seat, and you're good, bro. Or and put it back. It's just common courtesy, and obviously, since they didn't get what they want, they're gonna be all petty and leave the fucking dumbbells there.
Use a bag, wipe it down. You use gloves, wipe them down, right? Like use a mat, whatever equipment you use, wipe it down, put it up, right?
Yep.
That's just common decency. I don't care about the political ideology of the boxing studio that I go to. I don't care about
it's
what
not
they
even a
believe
gym.
in. I
It's
don't care.
basically like fucking. Even that this is elementary school, bro. This is elementary school stuff, bro. This is hey, you borrow toys? You want to use toys? Okay, put the toys back. Clean up. But you don't look. This is elementary. This is kindergarten, bro. They're acting like kindergarten. They're acting like spoiled 5-year-olds. It's crazy. You don't.
I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican. I'm there to learn how to box, right? I'm not there for political activism, right?
Nope.
I'm not, right? And
If I want to speak political activism, I'll do that after. I'll do that after outside the damn boxing gym. I'm not here to talk about this shit. I'm here to get a workout and that's it, bro. I'm out of here.
I would think that it is their responsibility to address my concerns about politics, right? Because that's what she's saying. She's saying that her issue was that she went to one of the staff to address her concerns about politics, and she didn't get the response that she wanted. So that's why she got mad and threw a fit, right? That's why they decided to act like children and to leave their weights, on the floor, right? I mean, really, does anybody want to deal with this? And this is what I'm talking about. I say these people are liabilities, right? Apparently, not only are they liabilities as employees, but they're also liabilities as customers, right? Who wants to deal with this? Who wants to deal with this liberal nonsense? Seriously. It's not worth having these people as employees. It's not worth having them as customers because they put their politics above everything, right?
Yep. That happened. Remember the Starbucks situation when they wanted people to wear uniforms and shit, like the black, like the Starbucks employees started to complain because they had to wear black shirts, black polo shirts. They got it wasn't polo, but black collar shirts. They got mad because they had to wear black shirts. It is insane, bro. And yeah, he's right. They are a liability, bro. Because as soon as an employee or the company steps one foot opposite to where they stand, it's just all chaos goes loose. All hell breaks loose.
What they're actually there to do at the yoga studio, which is to do yoga and leave, right? They put their politics above everything. They got to make their politics about everything that they do, right?
Or remember what happened to the secretary, the head secretary of the White House or whatever, the press secretary. She just had a kid. I think like a couple weeks later, she went back into work, and then I think one of TikTok users, one of the TikTok people, not one of the TikTok people, there was a person that used TikTok. She worked at like a hospital for like delivering kids and shit like that, and she was basically wishing death upon the press secretary, despite the fact that she works with kids. The girl that's wishing death upon the fucking press secretary and her children is the same person that works for that helps deliver babies. It's like you guys really prioritize your politics over your fucking livelihoods.
And it's annoying. It's annoying as hell. And I just personally, I don't understand how you can put up with this.
And I walked out into the lobby to an already flowing conversation, and frankly the people that were around and asking questions weren't getting any answers. And so that is when I pulled out my phone and said, like, let's actually have the conversation and let's put what you're not saying and what you will say on record. I cursed a couple times. I was mad. I was frustrated. Honestly, living in Minneapolis the last few weeks, trying to be involved in mutual aid, just the strain of our city, it's not been easy. And sort of like the class and all of the things. Yeah.
It's not easy because the people in your state are not making it easy. Blame the people. Blame your fucking leaders. Blame your state leaders. They're not making it easy because they're not letting ICE do their thing. And they're encouraging people to stop ICE. Blame the state leaders for your mishaps.
Was mad. And I said some things.
Yeah, you were throwing a fit like a child, right? That's what you were doing. You were throwing a fit like a child, okay? These women need to be put in timeout, right? They need to get laid, right? Let's keep it 100. They need to chill out, bro. Seriously, chill out.
I tried to call Core Power Yoga, I think 3 times over the next 48 hours. I wanted to let them know my opinion. I thought that they would be interested in what I had to say. That's what they said corporate was there for. I was never...
Not your politics, right? They're there to get feedback on the class, right? On yoga, on things that actually have to do with the class, not your politics. See, this is what I'm talking about. The entitlement is crazy. It's insane. Well, see, they say they're there to get my feedback, right? To listen to what I have to say. Yes, about yoga, right? About the class, about what you're there for, what you're paying for, not your politics, okay? Why do these people believe that these companies have to care about your politics? They don't have to care about your politics. Go to a campaign rally. Go to your local politician. Go to town hall. Go to places where, politics is relevant. Politics should not be relevant in your yoga class. I don't understand what's so hard to understand about this. This is insanity.
Able to get a response. I was never able to get an email or a phone number of anyone in management. Nobody was able to answer any questions for me. And then I got this email, letting me know that I've been permanently revoked and not allowed to practice at Core Power Yoga anymore. And I just want to say, I don't agree with their stance that they only want to keep a safe space for the predominantly white and maybe wealthier customers. I want our city.
These people are insane. These people are, seriously, she's literally saying, well, them banning me because I want to inject my politics into yoga, right? Well, they just want to maintain a safe space for affluent white women. And I'm like, yeah, they want to make money. They just want to make their money and keep it moving. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Okay? Yes, yoga should be a safe space away from politics. It should be. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, the whole point of yoga is to relax, right? It's supposed to take it easy and relax and all that stuff. Take deep breaths. The breathing's important. It's not like, come on, no one wants to fucking hear you talk about politics. Nobody cares. You want to talk about it, talk it in your own time.
Like I said, I go to boxing classes. I don't want to go to my boxing class and we're talking about politics. Okay? I go to get away from politics. I go to get out my anger, right? That's what I go for. I don't go for politics. You shouldn't be going for politics. You should go to get your yoga session in and then leave. The entitlement is off the charts, man. It's off the charts.
And everyone that is in it, and every single business that makes money in it, to stand with our neighbors. It does matter to me, and I'm not just saying this from one place. I'm saying this because
not
everyone, I
but
care.
not everyone has the same not everyone has the same fucking not appearance. I was about to say appearance. Everyone has the same opinions. Nobody cares
about our neighbors and their experience. And also, just to be clear, almost every business, I don't know of a business in Minneapolis that does not have an ice out sign right now, because this is one of the strategies that we are using to keep our neighbors safe. This is not a big ask for Core Power Yoga. And so that's the story as it happened from my perspective. And I went to a new studio last night where I was welcomed and greeted and felt comfortable, and I will probably spend my money there from now on.
Well, if I was at yoga studio, I would pre-ban her. You're pre-banned, right? Because just in case we don't agree with your politics, or put it this way, just in case we decide to stay neutral, right? And we decide that, hey, we're not going to play along with your politics. We're not going to cheerlead your politics, right? Or outwardly support your politics. You might try to ruin our business, right? You may try to undermine us. We're going to pre-ban you, right? If that business was smart, they'd be like, no. This is an activist, right? She's more trouble than she's worth. Her money ain't worth it, right? Her little, what, $125 a month ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. It's not. It's not worth hiring these people. It's not worth these people being customers. I'm just telling you, it's the same pattern over and over and over again. They can't keep the politics out of it. Leave your politics at home. Don't bring it to work. Don't bring it to yoga. Don't bring it to the gym. Don't bring it to sporting events. Don't bring it to the Olympics. I just did a video about that. Leave your politics at home. How hard is that? No, they can't do it. They can't do it. They got to bring it with everywhere they go. And they cause trouble. They cause chaos everywhere they go. We got a problem. We got a big problem with some of these people in this country. I'm so serious, bro. This is out of control. It's out of control. So let me know what you guys think.
Yeah, because again, it's stupid. Remember when they're trying to boycott fucking Costco or some shit? It is so dumb. It's like everything has to be political, bro. Everything's political, and it's annoying that people think everything is. Yeah, Lakers won. Let's see here. Release the picture of the strongest. I don't fucking care about the strongest. Maybe I have something in my phone. Let me check. Let me check my my watch later. Do I have anything I want to watch later? Me. I was finishing this one. AIC to stay and nobody cares. Okay, let's finish up this one.
First things first, and I really want all of you to hear me. I am aware that good fan fiction exists, or to be more accurate, I know that good fan fiction is possible, and The first issue is most definitely the most important, and we're going to approach it more broadly than mere self-insertism. Because the real issue there, the core issue, is the immense, inherently self-indulgent nature of fan fiction as it is in current year, and has been for probably at least 2 or 3 decades. This aspect, self-indulgence, is the first thing I want to cover, mainly because it's by far important. It informs everything else. So what do I mean when I say that fan fiction is self-indulgent? First, let's look at the definition of self-indulgence. To indulge oneself or one's inclinations. And indulgence itself is defined as, among other things, over-leniency, gratifying appetites and desires, lack of restraint, giving way to temptation or inclination, yielding to gratification. I know that there are some people who would hear all this and genuinely find nothing wrong, but I think an honest person who seeks to better and master himself or herself as a person or as a writer would recognize that such tendencies are damaging and courting disaster. Self-indulgence prioritizes pleasure over difficulty. Self-indulgence turns restraint, self-discipline, and self-mastery into problematic trigger words that are deemed some form of elitism or ableism or some kind of big badism. But what does self-indulgence mean in literature? Are we talking really long stories or long sentences or big vocabularies? Are we talking purple prose or an excess of adverbs? No, actually not at all. Those are all stylistic issues, and every writer, just like every artist, has his or her own style and will spend their lifetime perfecting and honing that style, even if some people hate it or call it inferior to other styles. Style is not what we're talking about here. No, self-indulgence for a writer means that every storytelling choice made by the writer is prioritizing the writer's fantasies, pleasure, appetites, and desires over the story, the characters, or the overall quality. To be clear, I do not mean that writers shouldn't write what they like or enjoy, but
No, but I think the problem is that people, they don't know how to do it well. They just do it for the sake of doing it. If you want to self-indulge within it, I don't see a problem with it, but you have to do it. You have to write it properly. You have to write the setup properly and stuff like that. If you're just doing it for the sake of just doing it, then that's an issue.
rather that writers who are honestly trying to write the best story they can and who are prioritizing the good of the story will very often put their fantasies and their emotional appetites and desires aside in order to make the story better. A self-indulgent writer would never do such a thing because the primary function of writing for a self-indulgent writer is personal gratification. And this necessitates the avoidance of anything that is particularly uncomfortable to the writer. Self-indulgence means that villains can't be too disturbing, or rather the wrong kind of disturbing, as that would be uncomfortable for the writer to write. Or, to borrow the new popular adjective, it would be icky. Which is where we get genocidal maniacs who are nevertheless really good at sorting out their minions' pronouns, and also would never use a racial slur. Being a genocidal maniac will in some ways serve the emotional needs of the writer, sure, but those emotional needs would be harmed if the villain was insensitive to gender issues, say. Self-indulgence means the heroes will have long conversations with each other about popular current year political issues, despite the fact that they live in 13th century England or 38th century Saturn or some random medieval fantasy setting. Self-indulgence demands, above all, representation, something we're going to talk about more in a minute here, but that's why you get an abundance of people of, say, African descent in stories set in Scotland in the 11th century, for example, or stories in which people who were not of period-accurate English ethnicity in most or all of ruling classes of Georgian Britain, with no reasonable explanation. Period accuracy is completely irrelevant to the self-indulgent writer who is only writing to feed his or her own personal fantasies and emotional needs. As I said, we'll get more into self-representation in a bit here. Self-indulgence is what drives writers to put themselves in their own stories, as often the main characters. Insanely, not only is this common in current year, it's also encouraged. Writers are told to write based on their emotions and their desires and needs. Writing is approached at best therapeutically and at worst narcissistically instead of artistically. In a world where art itself is inherently subjective, the only subject matter of any importance can and must be the writer. All right. So how does fan fiction produce this specific attitude towards literature and storytelling? Well, buckle up, because we have some bumpy ground to cover. Fan fiction, as I've said, has been around forever. There are some crazy folks out there who would go as far as to say that Dante's Divine Comedy is fan fiction. I think people who say that...
I've heard that as well. I haven't read the Divine Comedy, so I wouldn't say I would be too sure. But I would say it's more inspiration rather than a fanfic. Just because the main character is just because the main character is self-insulated doesn't mean it's necessarily a fanfic.
That don't have a very good grasp on the spirit of medieval literature and approach stories with a fixed modern view, but sure. Fan fiction, so to speak, has always been around. People tell stories, and then other people tell other stories in that same world with those same characters. Absolutely. We've talked a bit about cultural decay and the prevalence of postmodern philosophy on this channel already. We've also talked about how the modern way in which children are taught to read, with a strong emphasis on personal emotional interpretations of texts, that are guided by their superiors, of course, alters their ability to both think and write. So you should already understand what I mean when I say that the bulk of modern writers have a very different approach to the art and the practice of telling a story than used to be the norm. To call it self-indulgent is probably too kind, but the average young person with storytelling aspirations has, for at least a decade, been almost exclusively emotion-driven in every way. They have also been brought up saturated in the moral and cultural landscape created by social media, attention-seeking, self-absorption, narcissism, propaganda, emotional generative hot words, pop culture trends masquerading as important social themes, critical literacy, and the poisonous influence of internet politics have created anxious, fragmented, hollow creatures who nevertheless crave meaning and profundity in their stories.
Or not even just that. I would just say they want to see themselves in it. Yeah. I mean, that also caters to emotion, but like, I guess that's also one of the reasons why as well. Let's see on moderation.
Combine that with the enormous emotional battering ram that they receive in college literature and creative writing classes. Combine that with the online influence of intensely aesthetically and emotionally self-indulgent online environments like Tumblr. Combine that with things like masculinity and femininity being under constant, confusing, endlessly shifting assault by the cultural police of our modern society. Many of these would-be writers then turn to their favorite stories for escape, stories they grew up with and which are, to them, a kind of cultural and narrative safe space. Stories in our times now like Twilight, Percy Jackson, Star Wars, My Hero Academia, Naruto, Sailor Moon, or, Harry Potter. Some more classically minded writers will fall in love with the Iliad or the Odyssey or Shakespeare, but none of these stories are exactly what these emotionally formed types of readers need in order to feel emotionally fulfilled in our constantly changing society in which emotions are the only valid currency. So they take to fan fiction to change these stories or characters or update them or shift things around so the story satisfies some specific fantasy or emotional desire. This can be relatively harmless, like a fan fiction in which Hamlet gets his revenge and then lives happily ever after with Ophelia. Or it can be incredibly disturbing, like fan fiction in which Princess Leia develops a romantic and sexual attraction to Jabba the Hutt during her captivity. And that's probably the tamest fan fiction I saw in AO3.
Oh yeah, AO3, they don't. Oh my goodness. I explored a bit on AO3 and the topics are rough. Jeez, man.
In a normal world, such a diversion would be, in some cases, harmless and short-lived, which is to say, this kind of thing, minus the disturbing perversions, is normal in young teens, and then they grow out of it. In our society, people don't really grow out of anything. Ours is a society in which people have developed a prolonged, almost eternal childhood. This is aided by the immense prevalence of emotions. But regardless of the reason, if emotions rule, then emotions will always be served. And if luxuriating in fan fiction in which your favorite characters don't die
And again,
and get to
if emotions are always served, that means that there's no standards. Because if all that matters is the emotional gratification of the audience, then who really cares about how a story is written? As long as you get the emotion there, then who really cares the logistics or how it how the logic in how the internal logic in the series would make sense or not, or what characters are doing doesn't make sense to the character, but the fact they're doing it for emotion, and just like, again, when you're just blinded by emotion, your standards are muddied.
together in the end makes you happy, you'll never stop. Because why would you? The story makes you happy, and being happy is the only thing that matters, right? And it's not like you're hurting anyone. As this indulgence is indulged, its grip on the mind of the reader and writer becomes strong enough to overwhelm anything else. A fan fiction that meets the specific emotional needs of the reader will always be better than anything on the shelves. A fan fiction in which the right character does the right things and says the right things and has the right opinions and has the right things happen to them will absolutely be deemed superior to, say, War and Peace, which I'm sure is probably pretty problematic. I don't know, have we canceled Tolstoy yet? Not that there's not, War and Peace fan fiction. I know what you're thinking. Why is it wrong to be happy? Why is it wrong to pursue something that is in itself not harmful but makes you happy? How is it any different to write a sappy fanfic than it is to write a novel of some other sort? Aren't all writers self-indulgent? No, actually, they're not, and it is different. The difference is that an honest writer who is pursuing self-betterment and excellence knows that sometimes the story needs things that he or she or the world doesn't necessarily like a villain who does vile things, or at least things that could potentially get him canceled on social media, like, say, a villain like Loki in the first Avengers making misogynistic remarks to a woman. I remember seeing people on Tumblr really struggling with that and refusing to believe that their beloved Loki would ever do such a thing, even as a villain. Or a hero or heroine who does something wrong and has to try to make it right, like Jane Austen's Emma. Or sometimes a story simply doesn't need the 17-page description of the main character losing her virginity, and so the writer removes it. All of these represent writers not basking in self-indulgence. Instead, choices are made not based on the fantasies and emotional desires of the writer, but on the best way to tell the best story. Please bear in mind, the best story and self-indulgence are somewhat subjective. A lot of it depends on the specific writer and the specific story. For some writers, giving into their emotional desire to have a happy ending no matter what is what constitutes self-indulgence. For other writers, giving into the emotional desire to have everything be constantly bleak and tragic no matter what is what constitutes self-indulgence. For other writers, having the entire story built around how hot the werewolf CEO is what constitutes self-indulgence. Often an unbiased, reasonable reader can recognize self-indulgence when they see it. Sometimes what it is a constant battle taking place at the writer's desk. Here's an example. If you look at the earlier versions of Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian, you'll find that things like heavily emotional scenes had been cut. There's even one scene in which a glimmer of kindness from the kid was completely removed. Keeping them would have indulged McCarthy's own comfort with his characters, his desire to like them in a specific way, or even just inject his own personality or inclinations into his character's behavior. But he was certainly not self-indulgent, so they were cut because he believed that would best serve the story as he was writing it. You tell me if you think the final version was better or worse as a result. And I'm not saying that all writing has to be as emotionally and descriptively sparse as McCarthy's, or that emotions or descriptions are inherently self-indulgent, but he was specifically pursuing a particular style in his work, and part of that pursuit was creative honesty and constant betterment. Creative honesty, by the way, does not mean bearing one's soul on the page. It means assessing honestly whether or not something is the best it can be according to one's goals, style, and abilities. McCarthy understood the danger of this siren call of self-indulgence, and he rejected it, and as a result, he became a better and better writer. Fan fiction, on the other hand, commodifies specifically the serving of highly personal emotions and desires, and pursuing stories with aspects which are uncomfortable or even, if you'd like, problematic, will be seen as the height of discomfort and controversy. There have been, within the fan fiction community, numerous scandals that have arisen over this simple factor. Characters who behaved in uncomfortable ways. And uncomfortable to the fan fiction reader or writer means something that prevents the reader from identifying with the character entirely, or something that prevents the reader from deriving emotional, psychological, or even sexual release from the story. These issues can range from shipping the two wrong characters to writing a male character who somehow takes away the female character's agency, or whatever. This has now made it into the literary world, as I'm sure most of you are aware. Books especially find themselves under constant scrutiny. If even a speck of these uncomfortable elements is found, the writers and publishers will be bullied incessantly until the book is pulled. I have several examples on my website, but my favorite is Sparrow and Vine, which was attacked for having a character mention that Elon Musk was good at business. This is why also in books like Morning Glory Milking Farm, you get a page-long monologue from the Minotaur about how hard he's always working to make sure the main character never feels like she doesn't have any agency. This is fan fiction verbiage. This is fan fiction bleeding into mainstream fiction, and I think we can all agree, ruining it. The idea that stories must present a world or a situation that perfectly aligns with the writer's specific emotional ideal, especially in abstract areas like agency, are the direct result of writers coming up in fanfiction communities. These communities are populated by young college and high school age people being raised on a steady diet of internet everything, emotion-based reasoning, and political and social bullying of modern society. These young people have been conditioned to judge worth and value based on things like broad social literacy regarding current issues and having the correct political opinions, which, as we all know, are constantly changing. These young people then take these attitudes into these fanfiction communities where they do all the policing, all the moderating, all the judging and assessing. There is no oversight.
That doesn't even happen. That doesn't even happen in fanfic community. That happens in even like fucking happens in even like now and people in other communities like they know that shit. Cause I remember there was a new character in Zenless Zone Zero called Sana or Sana, I don't know what her name is. I think it's like Sana. And obviously people well the moderator for the Reddit of Zenless Zone Zero was not the biggest fan of how Sana looked design wise. So it's like, okay, any comments referring to how good she looks or any emojis or anything like that will automatically be banned from the subreddit. It's just like, wow. So it's not only it's bleeding into it's bleeding into communities as well, whether it be gaming, anime, or otherwise.
From literary authorities or even simply people who have a literary framing to their priorities. So these so-called literary fan fiction spaces are entirely built, operated, controlled, and populated by the subset of young people who then indulge together in all their fantasies and desires, sexual and non-sexual. That is, these spaces are perfectly politically and socially safe, according to their own set of ideals and values, while also being entirely permissive. These online spaces to these young people quickly become important and valid parts of their formation as people and, crucially, as writers. So then reading and also seeing the rising popularity in these spaces of the types of stories that will necessarily succeed there teaches young writers that good writing means that the story and characters must embody their fantastical ideals for social perfection and can't be too uncomfortable. This discomfort, after all, prevents the story from satisfying emotional fantasies to their utmost. So these discomforts are not only undesirable, they are morally and creatively unjustifiable. That's why in our era, stories in which a fictional character is racist are maligned and canceled because even the presence of such a thing prevents complete immersion in an emotional and psychological fantasy land. That is, it prevents self-indulgence. And these writers are being trained to genuinely believe that getting in the way of total emotional pleasure is bad writing. Examples like Sparrow and Vine, which was pulled before release after readers online expressed outrage over things said by the characters, are a perfect example of fan fiction writing mentality taking over mainstream culture. The author even said when she pulled the release that she would rewrite passages so they wouldn't contribute to harm. That's the kind of thing fan fiction communities train writers and readers to prioritize. But having a, as the writer described, flawed character in this book who expressed admiration for Elon Musk's business strategies was way too uncomfortable for readers, so it had to go. Any writer who gives into this kind of bullying is a coward and lacks all creative integrity. But that's what fan fiction does to you. I feel like I need to tap a sign or something. Of course, some select kinds of discomfort can be present, but only if they are tagged with content warnings. This can be anything from vomiting to the presence of food to eye horror to other things I can't mention in a YouTube video. As long as they're in the content warnings, you can usually get away with including uncomfortable elements, but you have to adhere to the content warning system. If you don't, you run the risk of potentially disrupting a reader's sense of comfortable emotional immersion in their fantasy land. And there are few sins higher in the fanfiction community. Why do you think people started demanding trigger warnings on everything? Now, of course, emotional and psychological fantasy lands are subjective. So one writer's sexual assault fantasy will be just that fantasy land. And for another writer, it will be a story in which Lady Macbeth and Ophelia run away to open a coffee shop in Finland and talk about how powerful and independent they are while they're in bed or whatever. What I'm saying is that everyone goes looking for different emotional needs to satisfy, and like other kinds of tastes, these tend to be highly specific. That's why the tag system on sites like AO3 is so robust, and that's where that began for literature. Tags and hyperspecificity like that only occurs when the readers are seeking hyperspecific content to satisfy hyperspecific emotional or sexual needs, and have become accustomed to having those needs neatly labeled and accessible, because that's the whole point of fan fiction. Because here's the thing, yes, there's smut, and that satisfies sexual fantasies and sexual needs. But self-indulgence extends beyond smut, resulting in work that is essentially emotional smut. Its sole function is to allow maximum emotional satisfaction. If you look at the cloud tag on AO3, you can see some of what I'm talking about here. And these are only the most popular tags, so only a fraction of what's available. Let's ignore for now the plethora of disturbing sexual tags. By the way, what I've blurred here is stuff that I think I might not be allowed to show in a YouTube video. Feel free to go to the site yourself if you want to see the whole image. But let's look mainly at these other tags that signify a work that satisfies a specific emotional need or hunger. We can see hugs, happy ending, comfort, cuddling and snuggling, feelings, praise, kink, protectiveness, self-esteem, and so on.
Violence
And we
is
can also
big.
see tags that are meant to satisfy the readers and writers' emotional need to see themselves represented, such as autism spectrum, LGBTQ, reader insert, gender themes, and so on. What a lot of people don't realize is that the need for emotional satisfaction, especially among young women, is almost as strong, if not stronger, than the need for sexual satisfaction, and can bring about a bizarrely specific array of subgenres and tastes, comparable to, sexual entertainment things. Let me give you an example. Show of hands, how many people know what I'm talking about when I say the word wump?
Nope.
Don't worry, I'm going to tell you. Wump, an old onomatopoeia for something like a solid body slam in comics, is the term that has come to refer to emotionally or sexually satisfying physical harm to characters. That is, scenes and stories in which a character is hurt in some way will produce emotional satisfaction in the audience. Don't get me wrong, this isn't always satisfaction that the character got hurt like some kind of sadism. It can be, but not as a rule. This is more the emotional release of the physical harm and, crucially, the comfort that comes after. The emotional satisfaction comes more from the comfort than the hurt itself, so the hurt is satisfying because it presents the promise of future comfort, if that makes sense. This emotional need, once identified, became an object of indulgence. This fan-made, publicly available, highly detailed spreadsheet focusing primarily on Western media provides timestamps and descriptions for wump scenes in movies and shows, and has over 15,000 entries, including TV episodes, movies, games, podcasts, comics and manga, anime, YouTube videos and music videos, and so on. And of course, trigger warnings. On Tumblr, you can find hundreds of users who make wump lists for movies and shows and books, as well as chipsets or gift sets, if you'd rather, of these specific scenes with emphasis on whatever aspect the maker finds most satisfying, whether that's the pained expression of the hurt character, the sight of a chiseled body covered in blood, or the worried faces of the character's friends. Moreover, there's physical wump and emotional wump, and this can be even further broken down. Gunshots your thing? We've got wump for that. You prefer a nice head cold? We've got that too. How about torture, grief, crying, chains, handcuffs, stabbings, non-consensual stuff? Why do you want it? Which, by the way, is all with male victims. Needless to say, there's a large subgenre of fanfiction focused on wump. This is often called merely hurt comfort. You can also see it in these other tags, such as angst, that would be emotional wump, anxiety, self-harm, trauma, torture, medical
Violence.
injury, crying, comfort, and so on. What does this indulge exactly? It depends on the reader or writer. For some, it is absolutely sexual, and so the story will even veer into smut territory. For many, though, it's entirely emotional and fulfills some attention fantasy or caregiving fantasy, or what have you, of the writer or reader. Some will say that it's therapeutic, which is probably often true, but that's therapy, not literature. And a good therapist would probably caution against a constant, ever-increasing indulgence in works that could potentially re-traumatize the reader or writer. Of course, and this is a closely related issue, this notion that a writer's therapy session, even if it is beneficial to the writer, ought to then also be published for everyone else to read is both a very non-literary notion and is a direct result of fanfiction's nefarious, poisonous influence on the minds of writers, and is, in a sense, the absolute height of self-indulgence. Interestingly, very few of these fictions and infatuations feature female characters getting hurt. Feel free to discuss that one amongst yourselves. The bottom line here is that fanfiction has, for some time, been specifically and prominently a vehicle for the indulgence of highly specific emotional or sexual needs and fantasies. As these fanfiction writers grew up while failing to mature and broke into the mainstream, of course this attitude came with them. The thing with self-indulgence is that self-betterment as an author or writer of any kind is no longer what is important, but rather self-representation. The story has to, in every way, represent the specific ideals, desires, fantasies, politics, opinions, and aesthetics that the author values most. More than this, the story and characters have to represent the author the most. In a word, the story has to represent the author's identity. I've had people send me messages telling me that fanfiction is incredibly important because it allows representation and for them to identify with the characters. Fran Lebowitz is someone with whom I seldom agree. However, a lot of her opinions on books and readers and writers do have a strong note of truth to them, but never more so than when she said this. A book is not supposed to be a mirror, it's supposed to be a door. She's absolutely right. The function of reading is not to find yourself perfectly represented in the characters and their environments. The function
And
of
it's
reading
so
is
funny 'cause when you think about all these shows and all that stuff, you always hear, I don't see I want to play this character so I can, I didn't see myself into them. I mean, it's so annoying when people say that because it shows you that they're very self-indulgent and want to self-insert. That's basically what this is. And it's like, it's like, oh, this Star Trek, I didn't really see myself in it, but, now I'm playing a character, I'm just like, yeah, now you care.
to
It's like
explore
so
other
annoying.
people, other
I hate when people
ideas,
say that.
other environments, other circumstances. You have full and constant access to your own mind. A book or any story is supposed to broaden your mind. How can it do that if it's just you replicated over again? If you want to see yourself, look in a mirror. That is not the function of a story. Self-indulgent, self-representing fan fiction isn't literature. It isn't even in itself valuable storytelling. All it is the mirror of the author and therefore only has value to the author. And that value itself is fleeting and limited because all the author has done with it is presented in some limited form the contents not of his or her own mind, but of his or her limited specific emotional or sexual fantasy land. We see this now in mainstream media with the epidemic of self-insert characters. Whether it's video game makers creating or changing
my
characters
goodness,
to
yeah.
look just like them,
I still need to play Spider-Man 2 because I platinumed the first one and Miles Morales. I just never got into 2. I need to hop back on it. Irrelevant to what is going on, but he need to hop back on it.
or Rebecca Yarros writing a Mary Sue heroine who has the same medical condition she has, or a lesbian author making all of her sapphic heroines the most powerful, brilliant, wisest characters in the story. Of course, you're more than welcome to, as they say, write what you know, but this isn't that. People who indulge in this self-identity in their fiction are doing so partly out of that self-indulgence and that overall inflated sense of self-importance, but it also has to do with the entire attitude towards identity in fanfiction. Not only are writers expected to put self-insert characters in one form or another into their stories, they are also just as often altering existing characters to more closely resemble themselves.
Yep.
As in, for example, lesbian writers who make fanfiction in which the canon straight female characters are in a lesbian relationship, such as Arwen and Eowyn. Of course, if the writer isn't a lesbian, this might not be as well received by the readers. This goes further, too, with really hot-button social issues being inserted into fanfictions, such as HIV. Writing such a story while not actually being HIV positive.
I guess I'm good now. I'm not deep into the fanfic fan, because I never went that fucking deep. Was talking about freaking STDs and shit. The fuck?
Positive yourself is something of a fanfiction faux pas. A strange phenomenon of fanfiction is the unwritten soft rule that you can't write what you aren't. This extends to disabilities, diseases, and various specific sexual orientations and gender identities and so forth. If that isn't you, then writing it dominantly in your story isn't always entirely permissible, which is why people who aren't, say, Black or Hispanic will get in trouble nowadays for writing books with characters who are. Just another example of fanfiction helping to change the rules. How? Because fanfiction, given its insane popularity and its ever-growing readership, forms readers. These readers then go forth in droves on Twitter and Goodreads and make demands and demonstrate outrage and whatever else.
Or worse, some of them become actual writers. Like, for example, 50 Shades of Grey was a Twilight fanfic before it became 50 Shades of Grey. They just changed the names a bit, and then they changed a bit of things, including the names and all the appearance, and it kept it going. So some series, I think there's other series that come from fanfics as well. I'm not too sure. She's gonna explain more series that come from fanfic, but I know for a fact 50 Shades of Grey was a fanfic of Twilight. But yeah, it's just unfortunately some of those fanfic readers also become writers. And unfortunately, some of them get popular. So, it's a big issue.
Publishers, producers, and writers listen and then bend the knee. And
Yeah.
every single time a writer apologizes.
It's either they bend the knee because they have to, they bend the knee because they agree with them. Simple as that.
Or changes a book, the fan fiction fed mob grows stronger, and the
They do.
legitimacy of this fan fiction way of thinking about literature and storytelling.
Rings of Power, Starfleet Academy, and we're going off recent examples. We're not even talking about like Ironheart and all that shit though.
Grows exponentially. Why do they do it? Well, I'm sure the troll types in their parents' basements just get off on the power. But some of them, a lot of them, absolutely insist that literature and stories look like them. Now, placing oneself squarely and centrally in the text is a natural, normal thing for someone who grew up reading stories in which other authors were placing themselves in the text, and who grew up reading by inserting themselves into fan fiction stories, plain, blank slate main characters who were written specifically so that the reader could use that character as an avatar of sorts. If the emotional mind of the reader has been programmed to insert itself into the head of the main characters, then such a reader will obviously write their own characters also as self-inserts. For instance, did you know that there is an entire subgenre of fan fiction that is written in second person?
Yep. That there is. I know it's extremely uncommon in actual published literature to have a second person narration, but second person narration is a lot. It's very common in fanfic. It's the tag is called character X reader. That's what it's called. It's character X reader. That's the ship tag anyway. It's the character X reader, meaning that it is you, the reader, getting shipped with this character in a scenario or some shit. I think I read like one of them. I think it was. I don't remember who the character was, but it was basically in a zombie apocalypse, essentially. But yeah, there's. It's character X reader. That's basically what it is.
There are stories in which the assigned ship, that is the written relationship in the story, is the main character plus the reader. So if it's Marvel fan fiction, the story ship might be Bucky Barnes in the reader. That is, you walk into the room, you see, I don't know, Bucky Barnes sitting on the couch in your living room. He says, "You sure look pretty in that dress, although I would never objectify a woman, as you know." That kind of thing. It's very, very, very popular. Who do you suppose is the most
Jeez.
important main character for writers and readers of stories like this?
The ones that read it.
It's not even remotely surprising that all across media now, writers and artists are inserting themselves into their stories. Why wouldn't they? That's how they engage with stories, by inserting themselves into them, or even altering existing characters to become them.
Yup, Star Wars, Star Trek, oh my goodness, man. You see how many people altering shit just to fucking... It's crazy. It is crazy how it's obviously it's much more obvious nowadays because they at this point these people don't care about it. They're overt like, well, let's fuck it, just fuck it.
That's how fan fiction has trained them
Doctor
and the rest of
Who,
society now
like-
to think it is supposed to be. So yes, of course they're shamelessly making video game characters who look just like them.
Yep.
Of course they're making their main characters have the exact same illnesses or disabilities or personality as they do. All of this is the most natural thing in the world to a fan fiction reader and writer. Let's take a moment now to talk about the one thing about fan fiction that everyone, especially those not in the community, most associate with fan fiction: smut. A lot of people took issue with my joking comment comparing sites like AO3 to OnlyFans, saying, no, there are non-sexual fan fictions. That's just incredibly dishonest and horrible. Seriously, you would not believe the number of messages I got scolding me about
I'm not
this.
surprised.
But here's the thing they apparently missed. OnlyFans has a non-explicit user base. 20%.
Yeah, it's funny because, yeah, that's the thing. It's so funny because that was the actual original purpose for OnlyFans, in case you guys didn't know. The original purpose of OnlyFans was for the non-NSFW content. Well, not non-NS. It's basically for the SFW content. It was for, like, it was basic. Think about it like, how do I say it? Think about like a Patreon. It was like, that's basically what it was. OnlyFans was kind of like the original purpose of OnlyFans was basically like Patreon, right? You get to pay some amount of money to see like different videos and all that stuff. That's basically what it was. It was only, I forgot exactly what year it happened, but it was for that purpose, and then it slowly turned into what it is now known for today. So, yeah.
Of OnlyFans users are not NSFW, and that number is going up. Yet if a lady said to you, "Yeah, I have an OnlyFans," my guess is the first thing you think of is not going to be a cooking channel.
Yep, because again, that is the most, don't forget, you have to think about who is the most popular content creators on that platform or on that app. The most popular content creators on OnlyFans are, chicks who like to expose themselves.
Like it or not, fan fiction has exactly the same reputation.
It does. Fan fiction does have a lot of that. Has that problem too. It's more known for that than anything else. It's very rare that you'll find a fanfic actually decent in quality, but most of them are just like, yeah, let's ship these two characters, and that's it. I noticed a couple of them now, like, let's do some massive crossover and do all that shit, but even then, it's like you're gonna see a little bit of that smut in those fanfics as well.
Extremely generous. I could say that 20% of fan fiction isn't smut of the strict observance. Let's put aside stories with random sex scenes and all that very extreme emotional onanism of hurt, comfort, etc. I would also like to point out that a lot of writers and readers think that as long as the scene doesn't involve, how to put this, the plug going into the socket, then it's not smut. So the characters can do all the other stuff, and there's a solid chance it won't get labeled sexual or explicit. So okay, let's give them 20% non-sexual content, just like OnlyFans. Yet, when you talk about fanfiction in a crowded room, the vast majority of people in that room will think primarily of smut and probably assume that that smut is pretty perverted. Here's the reality. Regardless of how many truly, genuinely non-sexual fanfiction works there may be out there, The specific nature of the smut that has deluged bookstores in recent years is the direct offspring of fan fiction smut, which is to say that fan fiction is directly responsible for that phenomenon. Do you remember what I
especially in like female literature, like again, like the Milk and Farm and all that shit. Like female literature really got bad because of the fan fiction mindset.
said about Harry Potter, that it was the series that launched 1,000 ships. The reality, at least here in the West, I'm not sure about the East, is that shipping is the core function and draw of writing and reading fan fiction. This was always
that's true. That's true. That's one of the bigger. That's one of the big like things for fan fiction is because of that.
true. But Harry Potter sent the popularity of shipping in fanfiction to heights never before seen in the West. Everyone had very, very strong opinions about how the maturing young adult characters they had grown up with should pair up. Should Harry be with Hermione or Ginny or Luna or Ron? Should Ron and Hermione really get together, or should it be Hermione and Harry, or Hermione and Draco, and so on forever? The primary original function of fanfiction in the current age was always shipping, which means that at the very least fanfiction is intrinsically romantic, but also is often just as intrinsically sexual. As you can see from this random story I've pulled up on AO3, the major concerns are fandom, relationship category, that is it male-male, female-female, male-female, etc., and of course, the ships. If you take the inherently self-indulgent nature of the fanfiction community, combine that with the inherently romantic nature of fanfiction in general, and then combine that with the extremely permissive and shame-averse nature of modern society, you'll get a perfect storm of cultural and psychological conditions that will result in a whole host of young writers, especially young female writers, indulging every imaginable sexual fantasy in their fanfiction writing. This ranges from simple sex scenes involving canon couples to wildly, wildly disturbing torture and abuse stories that are hundreds of thousands of words long, that include themes that are so insanely horrifying and perverted that I literally can't show them to you. Let me put it to you this way. I've done all the dark romantasy, you know, the Haunting Adeline and Dead Inside, and yet I was still somehow shocked and disturbed by what I found on AO3, which stories, by the way, were not obscure works tucked deep in the bowels of the site. These were stories with millions of views. A lot of the best-selling authors we see on the shelves of bookstores these days are merely smutty fan fiction imports. Twilight was Harry Potter fan fiction, then E.L. James wrote Twilight fan fiction.
Oh, Twilight was Harry Potter fan fiction. I did not know that. So, and also 50 Shades of Grey was a Twilight fanfic. So basically, 50 Shades of Grey is a fanfic of a fanfic. It's a no, sorry, no, it's not a fanfic. Well, yeah, it's a fanfic of a fanfic. Yeah, it is. Yeah, because Twilight's a fanfic. Yeah, so it's 50 Shades of Grey is a fanfic of a published series. That it's a fanfic of a fanfic.
That became 50 Shades of Grey.
Yep.
Cassandra Clare's Mortal Instruments series is also Harry Potter fanfiction. Allie
Did not know that.
Hazelwood's The Love Equation is Star Wars fanfiction, in which Rey and that emo bratty edgelord
Kylo Ren
are the shipped relationship, and so on and so on and so on forever. And many of the romantasy and romance writers who are
That's crazy how 50 Shades of Grey is a fanfic of a fanfic. Speaking of who wrote Twilight again? Go on.
Of views. A lot of the best-selling authors we see on the shelves of bookstores these days are merely smutty fan fiction imports. Twilight was
Stephanie Meyer. That's her name. Is she doing anything nowadays, or was that her hit? Cause I haven't. What's she doing nowadays? Let's see her. Let's see a bibliography. I don't care about her. I don't care about her fucking her things. So Twilight. the hosts. So she tried to do Twilight. She went back to Twilight because now it's the retelling of. That's how you know you have nothing. You have nothing else, bro. That's how you know you have nothing else when you have to go back into Twilight to redo the whole thing over and over again. So it's this one. So yeah, Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse, yeah, Breaking Dawn, okay. Then the reference guide, reimagined the fucking what? So this one's just the what? Life and Death, Twilight reimagined. This is the story, the gender swapped retail. Oh my goodness, that's how you know you have nothing in the tank anymore. That's how you know your creativity is so drained out of you. When you actually have to use, I have never seen someone have to do a reimagining series. Like, hey, let's just do a whole book of just the originals, which is the first story, but with a twist. The two characters are just gender bent. That's it. That's it. And Midnight Sun is just from Edward's perspective. It's, oh my goodness, man. That's how you know you have nothing in the tank. And look at all these movies and shit like that. Yeah, that's how you know you have nothing in the tank. Like your creativity, you tried so hard with the host and the chemist, and then it flopped, and then now you're going back on to Twilight because that's when you actually got money. That is sad, man. That is sad that you have to fucking wow. It was funny because my uncle actually had the books. I think he had the. Let me see the cover. Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse. I think it was the first three he had. I remember he had the Twilight, the New Moon, and then he had Eclipse. Never read them. I've only seen the movies. So I don't know how the adaptations are different, but I've only seen the movies of them. She was pumping out these motherfuckers like it was nothing. Holy shit. If you look at the publication date. 2006, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008. Yeah, you were pumping them shit out year by year. Fucking hell. The second short life of Tree Tanner or Bree Tanner. I don't know what the fuck that is. And then Breaking Dawn. Breaking Dawn was in the movie version. It was separate into two. Oh no, it's the whole cast. It's the whole cast that's gender bent, because now it's instead of Bella, because Bella is in French, Bella is Belle, and then the male version of Belle is Beau. So the kid's name is Beaufort. Yeah. So now he was with a mom. Wait, was that also in the movies are fucking boring as shit though. You see lukewarm reviews. I'm not fucking surprised. There's a manga? What? There's an actual manga? That's crazy, bro. I don't know how this freaking got popular, bro. Like, this shit already, guys, should tell you that popular does not equal fucking quality, bro. Wait, no. Oh no, it seems like the only the only thing that changes is no, that's oh, I got it wrong. Her mother moves to Florida with a second husband. No, okay, yeah, no. The only thing that changed is Bella and Bella and Edward. Bella and Edward are the only ones that changed. Besides that, nothing else is different. What's Reception? It got yeah, I'm not fucking surprised it got mixed reviews. The stench of a money-making scheme. Of course it is. Book blogger. And knowing a lot from the book is copy and paste from Twilight. Yes, it is, because the only thing that changed is the fucking the only thing that fucking really changed is the two main leads. Yeah, this is like the clearly was a cash cow. Cause you know, fucking Stephanie Meyer had nothing in the tank. she made her money. That's all she needs. And that's it. She didn't need anything else.
Harry Potter fanfiction. Then E.L. James wrote Twilight fanfiction. That became 50 Shades of Grey. Cassandra Clare's Mortal Instruments series is also Harry Potter fanfiction. Ali Hazelwood's The Love Equation is Star Wars fanfiction, in which Rey and that emo bratty edgelord are the shipped relationship, and so on and so on and so on forever. And many of the
I see
romantasy
a
and
lot. Look as Ali Hazelwood. I see a lot of her books on the love. That's funny. I see a lot of her books in in Walmart. Every time I go for Walmart in the book section, I see a lot of her fucking I see a lot of her books. It's a romance novel. Okay, so it's a fellowship, clearly. It follows a PhD candidate and a professor at Stanford. Oh, she's dating her professor. Oh. 30-year biology PhD student. She's 26. Okay. Adam. That's how you know, yeah, no fucking thing. Adam is 34. Okay, that's fine. It's kind of fucking weird dating your fucking your teacher, though. And, yeah, it's a New York Times best fucking seller. Oh my goodness. What is she doing now, Ali Hazelwood? Ah, she American. Oh, she's Italian. Ali Hazelwood is the pen name of Italian novelists, of Italian romance novelist and neuroscience professor. Many of her works center in STEM fields and academia. Okay, I don't care. What about her novels? Love on the Brain, Love Theoretically, Checkmate, Bride, Not in Love, Deep End. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I mean, when you're doing fucking romances, you're not gonna get the... She was a professor until 2022. Okay, she quit. Okay. So she's still pumping out books like it's nothing.
Romance writers who are big today will proudly talk about how they came up in fanfiction. Given the nature of fanfiction, what's popular, what gets hits, and what doesn't, most of these writers clearly learned the law of the fanfiction jungle and applied that to their literary pursuits.
Yeah.
And that meant maximum smut equals maximum sales. And because fanfiction readers are also book readers, that actually works, sadly. And in the fanfiction jungle, what makes a story popular? Incorporating a popular ship? Yeah. Incorporating a popular and slightly unique twist on a trope, such as the alternate universe story? Okay, appeal to a particular subsection possibly, but on take E road, all you have to do is pack in all of any comments and people who sent me messages regarding my video a while back, explains how they tried to write stories that didn't have in like books and motors, and why those stories have seen 100 times popular all overnight. If this video, once you start feeding hunger, it's on the screen right now. I have a list of tags on AO3, some stories that include this gives you an idea of what I mean by say feeding the hunger mixed book. I'm reading about this on my site. Because I try to take research very seriously, I read a few extreme videos. So you weren't going to be at what I did for the recipe. I recover ongoing. If you ever lose all hope, identity, and will go to the AO3 and do not eat. Actually, no. I that and take very long and incredibly disturbed and depressed. So I have to say one of the complaint about members of fiction. We found that it has content too disturbing. If you don't eat it, they also go like any bad for characters. Sure, you still like it, don't. But hard to see the things that are there and not become incredibly concerned about eating and being stories. It's one thing to have bad content to your characters. No that. They hold a separate issue. Hearing stories that are in sexual fiction that feature so much inhuman brutality that the CIA is those tags taking notes and get me started on the other content. So you will have to read hell do you start to look around AO3. Also, using them to see you have how to delete entire Persian fabric with content of intent. We already talked a lot about the same applies. However, because like AO3 are built on absolute permissiveness, as I'm sure you imagine, it's not 1,000 times as bad as unpublished romance books truly are. They are as tame as Mary Poppins compared to what you can effortlessly find on AO3. And all of this increasingly
because
weird.
There's no limits. There's nothing.
Smut books like Morning Glory Milking Farm, those trends started in fan fiction. And because, as we can clearly see from the aforementioned literary masterpiece, fan fiction now feeds popular literary culture. It will only be a matter of time before
That also goes down to the publishing department or the editing department, editorials, because their standards lowered so bad that they allow them to publish it with their name, with their thing on it. That's also an issue because the fact that there are people who are allowing this to even say, yeah, I'll edit, I'll get people to edit it for you and then publish it. The fact that there's people like that shows you how terrible the standards have gone.
The most disturbing thing I saw in Dead Dove Do Not Eat is sitting happily on the shelf at your local bookstore. Smut in fan fiction is a world with literally no rules. Sure, yes, you are still expected to provide content warnings and people.
There's no rules, there's no standards, there's no expectation, there's nothing. There's no rules, regulations, or standards to abide. So you can make up the most terrible fan fiction and be like, oh, it's fan fiction, so who really cares, right?
Will prefer more popular ships and so forth like that. But in truth, there are no rules. This is deliberately and explicitly stated by AO3. Nothing is forbidden. Smut with underage characters? Perfectly fine. Smut that would make the Marquis de Sade super jealous that he didn't think of it first? Why not? You want to write incredibly perverted stories about real people transforming into minors and having lots of sex? Totally, yeah. If you want to be only mildly disturbed, have a glance at how many fanfiction stories there are about real people. If you look at the numbers, currently on AO3, there are more fanfictions about real people than there are about Harry Potter. Jeez. If a man did that about a real woman, it would get him fired from his job, shunned by his family, and would probably be sufficient grounds for a restraining order, depending on the laws of the state in which it happened. And it would absolutely be included in the court documents as People's Exhibit A in the stalking case against him. But when a woman does it, apparently it's empowering and creative. I don't know, Your Honor. Sounds like fanfic brain rot to me. Something I want to talk about related to the smutpocalypse is a topic that never seems to get any less strange to me, and that is BL. BL is short
Boys
for
love.
boys love.
Yeah.
It's gay romance, almost always gay smut, between two male characters, which has a disproportionately large female audience. Of course, BL is a little different from any other run-of-the-mill gay storyline. This particular hyper-specific subgenre got its start in Japan. Thanks, Japan. Its earliest form was, surprise, surprise, fan fiction.
I'm not
Specifically, fan fiction written by straight women featuring two young men, usually exceptionally beautiful young men, not so much masculine as somewhat androgynously beautiful. If you've ever wondered why so many romantasy writers refer to their male leads as beautiful men, one of these beautiful men is the, how should we put this?
Top
Submissive half of the relationship, while the other retains a more
dominant.
traditionally dominant masculine role in the relationship, if you get what I'm saying.
I get it.
Needless to say, this has a tremendously low...
in more rough terms, one's a top, one's a bottom. That's basically the answer. One's a top, one's a bottom, plain as day. That's pretty much it. Hold on, let me check my mic is still on, because I want to make sure everyone can hear me. Yes, it is still on. Cool. But yeah, that's basically what she's trying to say. One's a bottom, one's a top.
loyal female fan base bordering on feral. This is books, comics and manga, anime, and live-action dramas. BL as a genre sees its popularity fed by fan fiction, particularly gay shipping fan fiction, which in turn feeds the popularity of BL. This is a constant loop that has led to an explosion of popularity in the East and the West. While Japanese live-action BL hasn't really grown all that much, Thai BL has absolutely exploded in recent years. And in Eastern and especially Western viewership, the main audience for BL is, as I said, overwhelmingly female. I was made aware of the existence of this subgenre when I first started to develop an interest in Eastern media as opposed to modern Western media. And when it comes to Western popularity, BL is the subgenre of Eastern media, books, manga, dramas, etc., that is enormously popular with women. Most Western women I've come across who watch Eastern media include a huge amount of BL in the rotation. With, it seems, the majority of female fans, that's the popular Eastern media here in the West. They read BL novels and comic translations, and they heavily ingest BL and gay shipping fanfiction. In fact, if you go to Barnes & Noble and have a little browse through their translated Chinese novels section, I would bet you folding money that you wouldn't be able to find one that isn't BL. In fact, my efforts to find unofficial fan translations of published novels from Japan and China has turned up an interesting issue in the Western fan community for Eastern media. The majority of what you'll find fan translated is either explicitly BL or it can be interpreted as BL. That is, either fans ship the main male characters so hard that to them it's actually canon, or the novel was deliberately written to be very ambiguous in that regard. And the quality of the works does not matter.
Yeah, it doesn't. Hold on, let me use the bathroom. I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick, guys. Let me just put on some music. Put on some music in the background. I drink that brisk, and that really made me have to pee. So I'll go. I'll put some music on, and then I'll be right back. Just give me some time, guys. Give me some time. Give me some time. I need to put on music. I'll be right back, guys. Give me a second.
Grammarly helps me get the best grades possible while depleting the least amount of hours of my week. I'm Lauren Taylor. I'm a student and future CMO, and I am a Grammarly user. So when I first got Grammarly, my mom got it for me my junior year of high school to help me with my college application essays. But now it's kind of cool because it's evolved as a platform. Grammarly's AI Compose can help me narrow down what to write about. I can, in 15, 20 minutes, have a decent outline of what I'm going to be writing over the next week or two. It's nice to have a tool that can improve my productivity. Once I've fully fleshed out a draft, I use Grammarly to start looking at clarity and precision. It can tell me things like add more direct quotes if maybe it's gotten a little stale. As a media and journalism student, the integrity of my writing is super important. One of Grammarly's best features is the AI and plagiarism detector. If I quote someone a little too closely, Grammarly can pull that article for me and help me create the citation, which just keeps me honest about who I'm sourcing for information. Other platforms are a little more general. They can serve as search engines. They can kind of edit things. They can kind of cite things, but they're a little too general to be truly great. Grammarly is a lot more tailored with writers in mind, with creators in mind, with communicators. And if as a student you want to put your best foot forward, Grammarly is your go-to. Download Grammarly for free.
Buddy, let me. I was running down the zone, dangle, just line up this absolute rocket, bang, bar down. Best season.
Be ready with Hype from Vetter.
Hold me close time is spent outside. I don't wanna waste what's left. Don't switch it up, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we go, the wasteland through the highways, to shadow, to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways. And on we'll go. Life away, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want to rest. Echoing around these walls can create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And we'll go through the wastelands, the highways, till my shadow, the sun rays. And on we go through the wastelands, the highways. And on we'll go. We'll grow in number, fueled by the need horizon to the thousands. And we'll grow in number, fueled by the sea horizon to the thousands. We'll go, wastelands to highways, till shadows, sun rays. And on we'll go, the wastelands to highways. And on we'll go.
I'm walking alone, the streets are empty, and I see my own city. I'm getting wrong step by step, I see but there's some reasons. I've been flying from town, from London to London. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect you. We are heroes tonight, we will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. We are heroes tonight, we will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Feel like dynamite, raging so rapid. I need you to listen, I need you to hear and show any fear. I've been here from house to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to build so. We are heroes tonight, high above the sky. We are heroes tonight. We are heroes tonight, we will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. I've been here from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.